Chapter 379. No one was clearer than Yun Luofeng about Yun Zhao's power. That was why he was so certain that one day, Ling Yao would regret this for the rest of her life. Regret. Ling Yao laughed icily and spoke in a mocking tone. Don't you know? This man of yours isn't a good person. He keeps pestering me and refuses to back out of an arranged marriage. He insists on marrying me, so I reckon that he's only playing with you. For a man like him who keeps pestering me because of my high status, would he give you his heart? Especially towards this kind of man. He would never regret it. The man, who had ignored Ling Yao from the beginning, finally turned his cold eyes to her after hearing these self-righteous words. However, this one look caused Ling Yao's body to tremble. Her heart felt as if it had been squeezed by a hand, and a suffocating feeling came out of nowhere, causing her to feel extreme fear. Yun Zhao. Yun Luofeng gently placed his hand on Yun Zhao's arm. His eyes darkened and he spoke in a voice that only the two of them could hear. You can't reveal your power for the time being, so let me handle this matter. Based on what Qin Yuan had told her previously, Yun Zhao must have something that could threaten her life in the hands of the Zhao family. If he were to reveal his power now, the Zhao family would certainly pester him endlessly. Given Yun Zhao's temper, she would never return to the Zhao family. At that time, she would certainly bring danger to him. This was something that she did not wish to see. She's framing me. Yun Zhao retracted the murderous intent on his body, and his demonic red lips curled into a cold and hard angle. His eyes were filled with a cold light. Just now, he had indeed wanted to kill her. Before Yun Luofeng had arrived, he could ignore everyone else. However, he would not allow Yun Luofeng to suffer even the slightest bit of humiliation. Even if he had to risk his life and reveal his power, he would still protect her. I believe you. I believe you. The young girl's melodious voice moved Yun Zhao's heart. The cold light in his deep, dark eyes gradually dissipated as he stared deeply at the young girl next to him. The corners of his lips curled into a shallow angle. Even if one day, the entire continent did not believe in him, it was enough as long as she trusted him. Just stand here and don't move. Yun Luofeng gently hugged Yun Zhao, then turned and slowly walked towards Ling Yao. His slightly raised eyebrows raised insolently. Who did you just call trash? Ling Yao was so scared that she took a few steps back. What do you want now? I'll ask you again. Who did you just call trash? Yun Luofeng lifted his chin slightly and looked down at Ling Yao. Ling Yao was clearly afraid of being beaten by Yun Luofeng. She looked pleadingly at Xiao Yuqing, who was beside her. She was filled with regret. If she had met this woman earlier, she would have brought the guards of the Ling clan. At this moment, the other customers in the hall also stopped what they were doing and glanced curiously at Yun Luofeng and the others as they discussed in low voices. This girl is the woman of the Xiao clan's trash? I didn't expect that the Xiao clan's trash would have such good luck, to actually be able to obtain such a beautiful young lady. Don't underestimate the Xiao clan's trash. Even though he doesn't have any power, his looks are of the highest quality. If you could look like him, there would also be women who would throw themselves at you. Sigh, the heavens are really fair. They gave him a perfect appearance but took away all of his innate talent. However, this is all the fault of the trash's mother. I heard that the Xiao clan's trash's mother threatened Lin Yu to leave him in order to obtain Xiao Chen. Hence, the retribution for her wrongdoings was reaped on her son's head. Chapter 380. Even though those people had purposely lowered their voices, how sharp was Yun Luofeng's hearing? Every single word of their conversation fell into her ears. She bent down and picked up a chopstick from the ground. Then she turned behind her and with a swoosh, the chopstick brushed past the neck of the youth who had framed Yun Zhao's mother and swiftly pierced into the wall behind him. The originally sturdy wall burst like a bubble, leaving only a black hole where the chopstick had pierced deeply into the wall. The youth was dumbfounded. He wiped his wet neck and looked at his hand. Bright red blood stained his neck and he screamed in fright. Blood, blood! He almost fainted. Fortunately, the people next to him hurriedly supported him and he was able to stabilize his body. However, anyone could imagine the terror in this youth's heart. Just a little bit more. If the chopstick had been just a little more to the side, his neck might have been pierced by the chopstick and he would have died. This is a warning. Yun Luofeng's black eyes carried a disdainful aura. If I hear anyone insulting his mother again, I will make sure your blood splatters on the spot. The young girl's voice was insolent and her brows were filled with cold arrogance. Xiao Yuqing frowned slightly. Her clear and cold gaze swept towards the grim man dressed in black. Suddenly, a feeling of jealousy arose in her heart. This man was clearly a good-for-nothing, but there was a woman who was willing to get angry for him. She did not hesitate to stain Four Corner City with blood. And he? No one would be willing to go to such an extent for him. Even his father. If it were not for his extraordinary talent, perhaps his position in the Xiao family would be no different from Yun Zhao's. Why would such a powerful family jeopardize their own interests for him? The entire restaurant's main hall instantly regained its silence. Everyone did not even dare to breathe loudly as they looked timidly at the beautiful and demonic young girl in white. Now it's your turn. Yun Luofeng's lips curled into a smile as he turned to look at Ling Yao, who was standing in front of him. All these years, how have you slandered Yun Xiao? No. Perhaps Yun Luofeng's actions had shocked Ling Yao again. The fear in her eyes deepened and she grabbed Xiao Yuqing's arm tightly with both hands. Brother Yuqing, save me. Xiao Yuqing's frown deepened. He raised his hand and slowly pushed Ling Yao's hand away. He said coldly and emotionlessly, I told you not to cause trouble. Now that you have caused trouble, you have to solve it yourself. The man's heartless voice made Ling Yao's heart turn incomparably cold. It was as if a cold air had entered her heart from the soles of her feet. Bang! Yun Luofeng sent Ling Yao's body flying with a kick. Then before Ling Yao landed on the ground, she quickly flashed in front of Ling Yao and used the back of her foot to fiercely kick Ling Yao's waist. Like a kick, she sent Ling Yao flying in the air. When she thought of the humiliation Yun Xiao had suffered all these years, Yun Luofeng's heart was filled with a wave of anger. Now, she was venting this anger on Ling Yao, who asked Ling Yao to bump into her head for the second time. After the last kick, Ling Yao's body landed heavily on the ground. Yun Luofeng raised her foot and stepped on it. She said condescendingly, Ling Yao, have you forgotten the pill I fed you? Chapter 381. At this moment, Ling Yao's clothes were in tatters and her entire body was in so much pain that she had curled up into a ball. She could feel that her internal organs had been severely injured and her ribs had all been broken. This woman is so cruel. Ling Yao gritted her teeth and the hatred in her heart intensified. If she had the chance, she would never let this woman off. Of course, she had to find out what the black pill that this woman had fed her was. Do you want to know what that pill is? Yun Luofeng curled the corners of his lips and lowered his eyes to look at Ling Yao's pale face. I call your pill the body-tearing and bone-shattering pill. However, this body-tearing and bone-shattering pill won't really shatter your body. It will only let you experience that kind of pain. I only need a thought to make you taste that kind of pain. I didn't think that after swallowing the body-tearing and bone-shattering pill, you would still dare to come and look for me. Ling Yao's body trembled and she turned her head away stubbornly. She would never believe in the body-tearing and bone-shattering pill. Besides, she had never heard of such a thing. Most importantly, she could make me experience the feeling of my body tearing and bone shattering with just a thought? How could such a miraculous thing happen? This was also why Ling Yao had dared to cause trouble for Yun Luofeng. This was because, during the time that she had left Long Yuan country, she had not felt any discomfort in her body. She had also found a doctor to examine her body, but they had not found anything. Hence, she thought that Yun Luofeng was just exaggerating. In reality, it was just an ordinary pill. You don't believe me? The smile on Yun Luofeng's lips deepened. If you don't believe me, I can let you try it. Hearing the young girl's words, Ling Yao's eyes flashed with disdain. However, before she could continue to ridicule Yun Luofeng, she felt an intense pain in her body. That pain was like a stone grinding fiercely against her bones. Arg! The intense pain caused Ling Yao to scream shrilly. She was in so much pain that her entire body broke out in cold sweat. She trembled uncontrollably and her beautiful eyes revealed a deep sense of fear. The others didn't know what had happened. Just now, when Yun Luofeng had kicked Ling Yao's body, she hadn't screamed so miserably. Now that Yun Luofeng hadn't even touched her, she was screaming instead. Kill me, kill me! Arg! This kind of feeling made Ling Yao want to die. Even death was better than suffering such torture. Do you believe me now? Yun Luofeng chuckled. I already said that this pill is the body-tearing bone-shattering pill. You didn't believe me, so I naturally had to let you try it. Also, don't let me hear you say the word, trash again. Otherwise, I'll make your life a living hell. The intense pain slowly disappeared from Ling Yao's body, but her body was still trembling. Now, whenever she thought of the pain she had just endured, fear surfaced in her eyes once again. Yun Luofeng withdrew her foot from Ling Yao and slowly walked to Yun Zhao's side. She stretched lazily and said with a smile, "Yun Xiao, I'm tired. Let's go back and rest." Other than looking at Ling Yao coldly when she first framed him, he didn't even glance at her for the rest of the time, treating her as if she was air. Indeed, in this world, aside from Yun Luofeng, no other woman was worthy of him wasting his precious time to look at her. Chapter 382. Lin Ruobai, who had turned into an infatuated girl because of Yun Luofeng's domineering manner, finally regained her senses with great difficulty. Only then did she realize that she had been abandoned. She blinked dumbly and had no choice but to accept this reality. For the sake of a man, Master had forgotten about a living person like me. Furthermore, ever since Master's man had appeared, Master only had him in her eyes. She had even lost her disciple without realizing it. "Master, wait for me, don't abandon me." Lin Ruobai looked at the delicacies that Yun Luofeng had ruined on the ground. She hardened her heart and quickly threw them in the direction of the restaurant. Because she was too fast, she tripped over the doorsill and fell face first onto the ground. "Wah!" Lin Ruobai burst into tears and complained pitifully. "Master, don't you realize that there's someone missing by your side? How could you forget about such a living person like me? Master really values a lover over a disciple." Lin Ruobai crawled up from the ground and dusted off the dirt on her pants. Her little mouth bit the corner of her clothes tightly and her resentful gaze was like an abandoned puppy. Yun Luofeng walked on the sidewalk. The smile on her lips was filled with laziness as her black eyes turned towards the perfect side profile of the man beside her. "Yun Xiao, Qin Yuan has told me everything about you." Yun Xiao was slightly taken aback and frowned. "He made a mistake. He's worried about you." Yun Luofeng raised her brows. "Furthermore, I hope that no matter what happens, you will tell me. I will face it together with you. When we return, don't punish him. He's a very loyal subordinate." "All right." Yun Xiao nodded. "If you plead for him, I'll let him go." Hearing Yun Zhao's reply, Yun Luofeng relaxed. Then she seemed to remember something and frowned. "Did I forget something?" Yun Xiao thought for a moment. "I don't think so." "Oh." Yun Luofeng's frown relaxed and she said lazily, "Then let's go rest, I'm tired." Poor Xiao Bai, she didn't even know that she had been abandoned by her master who valued a lover over a disciple. She could only pitifully ask the passers-by for directions to the Xiao family home. At this moment, her heart felt like it was being trampled by thousands of horses. "Auntie, you have to avenge me." In the backyard of the Xiao family, Ling Yao threw herself into Lin Yu's arms. She couldn't help but burst into tears. What happened? A trace of disgust flashed across Lin Yu's eyes. However, when she looked at Ling Yao, she put away the disgust in her eyes and said gently, "Tell me who bullied you?" Ling Yao wiped the tears from the corner of her eyes. Her pale little face was filled with resentment. "I met a woman on the road just now. Not only did that woman seduce Big Brother Yu Qing, she even hit me and fed me poison. She wanted me to submit to her so that I would give Big Brother Yu Qing to her." "What?" Lin Yu's fair hand landed heavily on the table. Her beautiful eyes, which resembled that of a venomous snake, were filled with a gloomy expression. "Which woman is so audacious as to dream about my Yu Qing? Yu Qing's status is so noble. How can some boorish woman have delusions about him?" In her heart, Xiao Yu Qing was the most outstanding and also the pride of her life. She would never allow such a vulgar woman to dream of obtaining Xiao Yu Qing. Chapter 383. Ling Yao lowered her eyelids and clenched her fists tightly. She has returned to the Xiao family with that good-for-nothing and is now living in that good-for-nothing's courtyard. I suspect that she is only with that good-for-nothing as a temporary measure to enter the Xiao family first, so that she can get closer to Brother Yu Qing. Hearing Ling Yao's words, Lin Yu's expression darkened. Suddenly, she stood up and a cold light flashed across her eyes. "Let's go, we'll go find her now." This woman was actually so audacious to think of someone she shouldn't have. And she absolutely could not tolerate such a thing happening. In the silent east courtyard, only the chirping of a small bird could be heard. Yun Luofeng leaned lazily against the doorsill and crossed her arms over her chest. She glanced at the simple yet elegant room in front of her. Gradually, her gaze turned towards the grim man next to her. Yun Xiao, I want to know, what does the Xiao family use to control you? Yun Xiao was silent for a moment and her dark eyes were deep. Every member of the Xiao family, upon birth, will hand over a portion of their soul power. This soul power is sealed in a jade tablet. If the jade tablet is damaged, I will become an idiot at best and die at worst. An injury to the soul is not easy to recover, especially for him. His portion of soul power is still in the Xiao family's control. If it was only the portion of soul power that was in his possession, it would not be so dangerous. Most importantly, the jade tablet that seals the soul power is made of a special item. Once you possess this jade tablet, it is equivalent to possessing the person's life. If you want him to die, he definitely won't be able to live past midnight. This is why Yun Xiao has not made a move against the Xiao family all these years. Do you know where the jade tablet is? Yun Luofeng frowned and asked. Yun Xiao pursed his thin lips and looked at the frowning young girl next to him. I'm not sure yet. I'm still investigating where the jade tablet is hidden. Once I get the jade tablet, I won't let a single member of the Xiao family off. Especially the woman who had thrown him into the forest of no return. Yun Xiao. Yun Luofeng gently held Yun Xiao's hand and stared at him seriously. I will help you. In this half a year, Yun Xiao had helped her too much. This time, it was her turn to help him. The girl's words caused the man's cold gaze to gradually change. Just as he was about to speak, the sound of footsteps came from outside the courtyard. After hearing these footsteps, his brows furrowed again, and his expression returned to its usual coldness. Not too long after, Lin Yu's figure appeared in the courtyard. Her beautiful face was enveloped in a layer of frost as her furious gaze pierced through Yun Xiao and landed on Yun Luofeng. Are you the woman who wants to have my son? Lin Yu sneered, slightly raised her chin, and said arrogantly, Little girl, I see that you are so young. How could you do such a shameless thing? I know that you only have your eyes on our Xiao family's power and wealth. How about this? I'll give you 1,000,000 taels, and you can leave the Xiao family immediately. Yun Luofeng raised her eyebrows evilly. She turned to look at the man standing beside her and curled her lips. When did you get a mother? The man's cold gaze swept across Lin Yu's body. He then turned his head and stared deeply at Yun Luofeng with his dark eyes. I don't know her. The conversation between the two of them nearly drove Lin Yu mad with anger. Her venomous eyes stared fixedly at Yun Luofeng as she said coldly, Little girl, don't pretend to understand when you don't. You know that I'm talking about Xiao Yuqing. Chapter 384. Yun Luofeng glanced at Lin Yu. I don't know where you get your confidence from to think that I've taken a fancy to Xiao Yuqing. Hee. Lin Yu suppressed the anger in her heart and a sarcastic smile appeared on her beautiful face. I've seen many young ladies like you. I don't believe that you would take a fancy to a good-for-nothing. Hence, your motive for coming to the Xiao family is extremely obvious. I'll give you one chance. Take 1,000,000 taels and scram. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude. Yun Luofeng narrowed his eyes and a dangerous light flashed in his evil eyes. Don't you think that 1,000,000 taels is too little? How about I spend 10,000,000 taels to buy your life? How about I spend 10,000,000 taels to buy your life? The young lady's voice was arrogant and domineering. It was filled with arrogance and disdain. Lin Yu's expression changed drastically. Her gloomy eyes flashed with anger and she scoffed coldly. I've seen many young ladies trying to climb into my son's bed, but you're the most shameless one. I advise you to stop daydreaming. My son will never take a fancy to an arrogant woman like you. Boom! Just as she finished speaking, a powerful force suddenly shot towards her from the front and hit her chest fiercely. Her body flew out abruptly. Thump! She fell heavily into the corner, and there was a vicious glint in her narrowed eyes. Who hurt me just now? Yun Xiao? Or this young lady? No. Impossible. Yun Xiao is only a good-for-nothing and this young lady is so young. She must not be very powerful. What Lin Yu did not notice was that when her body flew out, the grim man who had been silent slowly retracted his palm as if nothing had happened. Thump! Thump thump thump. Before Lin Yu could catch her breath, a stream of qi rampaged inside her body as if it was trying to break out of her body. She screamed in pain. Yun Luofeng glanced at the man standing next to him as he watched Lin Yu's miserable state. In the end, he had not been able to control himself and had attacked her. However, she could understand the man's feelings. No matter how others humiliated him, he could ignore it. However, he could not ignore the humiliation that those people had inflicted on him. If Lin Yu had not insulted her, perhaps Yun Xiao would not have made a move at this time. I was the one who attacked just now. Yun Luofeng pressed Yun Zhao's hand tightly. His arrogant eyes glanced at Lin Yu. What can you do to me? She could not let others know of Yun Zhao's power, otherwise, it would definitely bring her trouble. That was why she decided to take the blame for everything. Moreover, even if Yun Xiao had not made a move earlier, she would have made a move to injure her. Guards! Lin Yu stood up with a pale face and a gloomy look on her face. Hua hua hua! Countless guards rushed in from outside and instantly surrounded the entire courtyard. They pointed their weapons at Yun Luofeng and Yun Xiaoling, surrounding them in the middle. Lin Yu's eyes darkened, and she said in a cold voice, "Catch this woman." Yun Xiao furrowed his brows and pulled Yun Luofeng behind him. His grim eyes stared at the gloomy Lin Yu. His black robes fluttered in the gentle breeze, faintly revealing a murderous intent. Oh! When Lin Yu saw how protective Yun Xiao was of Yun Luofeng, she spoke in a peculiar tone. I never thought that a good-for-nothing like you would protect a woman. Tiske, I have a whole new level of respect for you. Unfortunately, do you think that someone like you can protect her? Chapter 385. Her face was clearly filled with disdain as if she had no regard for Yun Xiao, who was standing in front of Yun Luofeng. Yun Zhao's eyes grew even colder. The aura from his body was like a raging river, dangerous and wild. Yun Xiao. Have you forgotten what I've said to you? Yun Luofeng gently patted Yun Zhao's shoulder. I've said this before. Leave this matter to me. Yun Zhao's body stiffened and he slowly retracted the aura from his body. He then turned around and looked at the peerless young woman who was standing in front of him. He thought for a moment before he said, You can hit her however you like. He would always be there to back her up in everything. When have I, Yun Luofeng, ever been lenient? Yun Luofeng narrowed his eyes and smiled evilly as he walked towards Lin Yu. Lin Yu's expression changed and she shouted, Attack him immediately. Yes, madam. Upon hearing Lin Yu's order, the guards quickly stepped forward and charged towards Yun Luofeng. Her snow-white robes fluttered in the gentle breeze. The young woman's peerless face lit up with a smile as her pitch-black eyes stared emotionlessly at the guards who were charging towards her. The wind around her grew stronger as her aura expanded. Boom! The aura around the young girl exploded like a bomb, fiercely slamming into the guards. Before they could even reach Yun Luofeng, they were affected by the explosive force. Their bodies were sent flying, and the weapons in their hands fell to the ground. Yun Luofeng's gaze slowly shifted to Lin Yu's body. Her evil smile revealed an awe-inspiring killing intent, causing people's hearts to tremble involuntarily. Now! It's your turn. An earth spirit. Lin Yu's expression changed, and a mid-level earth spirit at that? At this moment, she could clearly sense Yun Luofeng's undisguised aura. Her beautiful face sank. Even though her talents were not bad, she was only a low-level earth spirit. This young woman's aura was clearly higher than hers, so she must be a mid-level earth spirit. The difference of one level was like the difference between heaven and earth. Lin Yu gritted her teeth. You're quite bold to actually dare to cause trouble in the Xiao family home. Do you think that you can do whatever you want just because you're a mid-level earth spirit? My father is a celestial spirit stage powerhouse. You won't be able to withstand a single blow from him. No matter how strong the Xiao clan's patriarch is, he hasn't arrived here yet. I can kill you before he arrives. The Xiao family had many courtyards, and they were divided into the north, south, east, and west directions. Therefore, Xiao Lin still needed a period of time after he received the news. Lin Yu took a few steps back in fear when she saw the sinister smile on the young girl's face. She leaned her back against the wall, and her face became paler. Just as she was thinking about how to escape, a delicate voice came from outside the door, causing Yun Luofeng's eyes to narrow. Big brother Yu Qing, I've already told you that this woman is bullying Auntie, but you just wouldn't listen. If we had come a little later, Auntie would definitely have died in her hands. This familiar voice made Yun Luofeng's lips curl into a smile. Ling Yao really wasn't afraid of death? He clearly knew the taste of the body-tearing, bone-shattering pill, yet he still came knocking on his door? It seemed that Xiao Yu Qing held a very important place in her heart. Outside the courtyard, a man in cyan clothes rushed in and appeared in front of Lin Yu. Then, He gently supported her tottering body. Chapter 386. Ling Yao, who had followed them into the courtyard, did not even have the courage to look at Yun Luofeng. She quickly walked to Lin Yu's side and gritted her teeth. Her pretty face was still pale. The taste of the body-tearing, bone-shattering pill may be unbearable, but she would rather endure this torture so that Big Brother Yu Qing would give up on Yun Luofeng. Knowing Big Brother Yu Qing's character, he would never allow anyone to hurt Aunt. Ling Yao's lips curled into a complacent smile and the space between her brows shone brightly. Perhaps she has already seen Xiao Yu Qing's hatred towards Yun Luofeng, and the complacency in her heart grew. Unfortunately, things did not go as planned. After Xiao Yu Qing supported Lin Yu's body, his clear and cold eyes turned towards Yun Luofeng. I've said this before, my mother is not the kind of person you've described her to be. She was not a concubine, she and my father have always loved each other. So I will prove this to you. However, during this time, I don't want you to hurt my mother. Hurt her? When did you see me hurt her? Yun Luofeng smiled coldly as he asked. Xiao Yu Qing did not reply. He looked at the unharmed Yun Luofeng and then at Ling Yao, who had blood trickling from the corner of her mouth. His meaning was very clear. Furthermore, Yun Luofeng paused. So what if I hurt her? Back then, she had thrown Yun Xiao into the forest of no return and he had nearly lost his life. Just this incident alone is enough for him to die a few hundred times over. My mother has never done such a thing. Xiao Yu Qing furrowed his brows and swept his cold gaze towards Yun Xiao. I hope that you won't let your lust get to your head. Some things need to be rational. Don't jump to conclusions before you've investigated the truth. I will investigate this matter thoroughly and clear my mother's name. The truth? Yun Luofeng curled the corners of his lips and sneered. What I say is the truth. Arrogant and domineering. What she says is the truth. What other kind of truth do you want? Xiao Yu Qing's expression grew even colder and his brows were tightly furrowed. Forget it. I'll look for you after I've investigated the matter. I don't want you to be used by others. Now, I'm going to take my mother away. I can pretend that nothing has happened today. After saying this, Xiao Yu Qing supported Lin Yu and turned around to leave. However, an evil and awe-inspiring voice rang out behind him, causing him to stop in his tracks. You can go, but she must stay. Yun Luofeng's gaze was filled with disdain. It was as if he was standing at the pinnacle, overlooking all life on the continent. Her hatred for Lin Yu had long been engraved in her heart. Now that he had finally encountered such an opportunity, how could he let her go so easily? I know that your background is not ordinary. Xiao Yu Qing turned to look at Yun Luofeng. But this is the Xiao family. You only have the power of an earth spirit. If you anger my grandfather, I cannot help you. Brother Yu Qing. Ling Yao curled her lips. What's so special about this woman? She is just the daughter of an ordinary noble from Long Yuan country. Our Xiao family does not need to fear such a person. Xiao Yuqing remained silent, as if she hadn't heard Ling Yao's words. Her cold eyes were fixed on Yun Luofeng. She stays, or both of you stay. Yun Luofeng raised his brows and said. Xiao Yuqing wanted to continue persuading Yun Luofeng, but at this moment, an oppressive force came from nowhere and pressed down on his body like a heavy stone, rendering him unable to move. Chapter 387. Brother Yuqing, what's wrong? Ling Yao noticed Xiao Yuqing's strange behavior and her expression changed as she asked anxiously. Xiao Yuqing gently pursed his thin lips as his eyes darkened. He hurriedly used his consciousness to search, but he could not find out where this coercion had come from. Of course, based on Xiao Yuqing's level of power, he would not be able to discover that this coercion had come from Yun Xiao. Since Yun Luofeng had decided to handle this matter personally, he would not step forward. However, this does not mean that he would allow Yun Luofeng to fight alone. If he could not help her openly, what harm would there be in helping her in secret? He was willing to be the man behind her back. You had a good time cursing me, didn't you? Yun Luofeng's body flashed and appeared in front of Lin Yu. Her face lit up with an evil smile as her pitch-black eyes stared at Lin Yu with a smile. Did you use to humiliate Yun Xiao and his mother like this? Qing. Lin Yu's expression changed and she quickly tried to hide behind Xiao Yuqing. Unfortunately, Xiao Yuqing could not move at all. His entire body felt as if it was being crushed under a great mountain, as if there was a weight of 1,000 kilograms on his back. Mother, Hurry and leave. Don't worry about me. Hurry and leave. Xiao Yuqing roared at the top of his lungs. His forehead was drenched in cold sweat and his handsome face was glowing with a pale light. After hearing Xiao Yuqing's words, Lin Yu did not even think twice before she turned around and ran out of the courtyard. She did not even care about her own son and only thought about running for her life. Xiao Yuqing's heart turned cold at the sight of this. He could not understand it himself. He had clearly asked his mother to run for her life, so why would his heart turn so cold when he saw her fleeing figure? Thump! Just as Xiao Yuqing's heart sank to rock bottom, a white figure quickly shot out of the courtyard. Lin Yu was then kicked back and rolled in front of Xiao Yuqing with a thud. Did you see that? Yun Luofeng looked at Xiao Yuqing. This is your mother. She only cared about running for her life and did not care about yours. Do you think that someone like her could be kind? Xiao Yuqing pursed his thin lips and remained silent. His mother was indeed very selfish at times, but he still could not believe that she would be so selfish as to harm the flesh and blood of the Xiao family. Qing, Lin Yu climbed up and glared fiercely at Yun Luofeng. Don't listen to this woman's nonsense. I am going to find your grandfather. When your grandfather comes, she will definitely die without a burial place. Hearing Lin Yu's words, Xiao Yuqing's heart, which was originally as cold as ice, gradually calmed down. She said in a gentle voice, Mother, I believe you. As long as she said it, he would believe it. Yun Luofeng sneered and ignored the immobile Xiao Yuqing. Instead, he gradually approached Lin Yu. How did you treat them back then? Lin Yu was taken aback. She stepped back and asked, What do you mean? I've never done anything heinous to them. Don't slander me in front of my son. In any case, there was no one to testify for what had happened back then. So what if she refused to admit it? Yun Luofeng kicked Lin Yu's stomach, causing her to fall to the ground. He stepped on her from a high position. You only need to answer my questions. Don't give me any excuses. At that moment, Ling Yao was so frightened that she hid in a corner. She, who had already been tortured several times, did not dare to step forward and say a word. Otherwise, what awaited her would be severe torture. Chapter 388. Stop! Suddenly, an enraged roar rang out from behind and charged towards Yun Luofeng with a powerful aura. Just as the aura was about to reach Yun Luofeng, an even more powerful aura collided with it and dispersed the aura in the air. Yun Xiao retracted his aura and his cold eyes gradually turned towards the crowd rushing over from outside the courtyard. At the same time, Yun Luofeng put his foot down from Lin Yu's chest. His gaze slowly swept over the group of people who were quickly approaching. His pitch-black eyes narrowed slightly, and an evil light surged out from them. You are... Xiao Chen's expression changed greatly. He quickly walked to Lin Yu's side and asked anxiously, Are you all right? Cough cough. Lin Yu coughed and shook her head weakly. I'm fine. How dare you? After seeing that his beloved woman was fine, Xiao Chen turned his gaze towards Yun Luofeng and said angrily, How dare you injure someone in my Xiao family? You're lawless. Xiao, is this the woman you brought back? When he said the last sentence, his gaze turned towards Yun Xiao. Yun Xiao frowned and said coldly, My name is Yun Xiao. Clearly, he was very dissatisfied with the way Xiao Chen had addressed him. He was no longer a member of the Xiao family. He was only Yun Xiao of the Yun family. Unfilial son. Xiao Chen's expression changed and he shouted angrily, You ungrateful ingrate, have you forgotten who raised you? Now you've actually changed your surname. You're simply throwing the Xiao family's face. From Xiao Chen's point of view, only the Xiao family could remove Yun Zhao's name from the ancestral hall. They could not allow him to change his surname without permission. Even if his name was still not in the Xiao family's ancestral hall, he had no right to become a member of another family. Yun Xiao was expressionless and his gaze was cold. I was chased out of the family when I was 7. In other words, he had been chased out of the family when he was 7, so the Xiao family could not be considered to have raised him. You! Xiao Chen was so angry that he was almost speechless. Luckily, an unfilial son like you is no longer a member of the Xiao family. Otherwise, I would really be angered to death by you. If you were as outstanding as Yu Qing, I wouldn't be so angry. Xiao Lin glanced at the infuriated Xiao Chen, then turned his gaze towards Yun Xiao. Xiao, you're in the wrong in this matter. Even if you're no longer a member of the Xiao family, you can't just simply give yourself a new surname. Furthermore, You still have the blood of the Xiao family in your veins. If you use the power of your bloodline to help Yu Qing open the secret realm this time, I'll give you a way out and allow you to return to the family. By then, you'll still have to change back to your previous surname. To the Xiao family, letting their own bloodline follow someone else's surname was a very shameful thing. Even if this person who possessed the bloodline of the Xiao family was no longer qualified to bear the surname Xiao. Yun Luofeng stood quietly at the side, staring coldly at the people in front of him. And they were Yun Zhao's so-called relatives. Not only did he not allow him to use the surname Xiao, he also did not allow him to change his surname. It could only make him lose his surname. At that moment, Yun Luofeng's heart ached. She felt sorrow for Yun Xiao. He really couldn't imagine how much humiliation and disdain he had endured before he was 7 years old. And this humiliation had been inflicted upon him by his relatives. It was no wonder that it had resulted in his cold personality today. Yun Xiao. Yun Luofeng grabbed Yun Zhao's hand tightly. After feeling the coldness of the man's palm, she said sincerely, "You still have me and the Yun family." Chapter 389. No matter what, she would never abandon him. The corners of Yun Zhao's lips gently rose into a shallow arc. His smile was very beautiful and it could easily strike a person's heart. However, this peerlessly beautiful smile, he would only bloom on one person. I have you. That's enough. He could abandon the entire world. As long as she was by his side, that was enough. Little Xiao. Xiao Lin's expression darkened. If you insist on protecting this woman, you're no longer a member of the Xiao family. Yun Xiao held Yun Luofeng's hand tightly. The curve of his lips disappeared when he turned to face Xiao Lin. He regained his usual coldness and said expressionlessly, "The Xiao family needs the power of my bloodline." Hearing this, Xiao Lin frowned. "What are you trying to say?" "Let her beat you up," the man said coldly. Xiao Lin knew that Yun Xiao was protective of Yun Luofeng, but he did not expect it to be to this extent. Was he threatening him? Good. Very good. In this lifetime, he was the only one who had the courage to threaten him. "Little Xiao, do you know what you're saying?" Xiao Lin's eyes darkened as he asked coldly. "I know." The man's words were as concise as ever. To him, it was as if talking to these people was a waste of time. "You're threatening me because of a woman?" "That's right, you do have the ability to threaten me now. Who asked the Xiao family to have the pure power of the bloodline and only lack you? However, once the secret territory opens, you'll be useless. Are you sure you want to threaten me because of a woman?" Xiao Lin's chest was filled with anger. He realized that he could not see through this grandson of his. Yun Zhao's gaze swept across the beautiful girl next to him. As long as she's happy. What he meant was that as long as Yun Luofeng was happy, he was willing to let her do anything. Hee hee. Xiao Lin chuckled. His voice was filled with anger. "Xiao Chen, you've given birth to a good son. So good that you're threatening his grandfather because of an outsider." Xiao Chen smiled coldly. "Father, you're mistaken. I only have one son, Yu Qing. A good-for-nothing like him has no right to be my son. I can't give birth to such a good-for-nothing son." Humph. Xiao Lin fiercely shook his sleeves and said with a cold expression, "Xiao, remember the decision you made today. When you can no longer threaten me, I won't easily forgive your mistake this time. Let's go." After saying this, Xiao Lin turned around and walked out of the courtyard. "Father." Xiao Chen panicked and quickly chased after him. "Father, if you leave just like that, what about you, Xiao Lin paused and said, "Do you want Yu Qing to be the clan leader or do you want your wife? Think about it carefully." With that, he quickly left the place without looking back. Only the heavens knew how sullen Xiao Lin was feeling right now, but he was helpless. Who asked him to need this piece of trash now? Xiao Chen remained silent for a while. In the end, he made up his mind and hurriedly walked out of the courtyard. In order to make his son the patriarch, he was willing to give up Lin Yu. Lin Yu's heart turned cold as she stared at the direction where Xiao Chen had left. A bitter smile appeared on her seductive features. Husband and wife are birds in the same forest. When disaster strikes, they fly separately. This saying is indeed true. No matter how well Xiao Chen has treated me in the past, he doesn't care about me at a time like this. Chapter 390. Yun Luofeng raised his eyes slightly and looked down at the beautiful woman sitting on the ground. He could give up on Yun Zhao's mother before. Now, he can also give up on you. Lin Yu scoffed icily and closed her eyes. Her pale face slowly displayed a sense of despair. Don't worry, I won't let you die so quickly. Yun Luofeng took a few steps closer to Lin Yu. The smile on his lips contained a hint of evil. Because it's not time for you to die yet. This woman's life must be taken care of by Yun Xiao himself. Right now, she was just venting the anger in her heart. Four Corner City was led by the three great families. The three great families were the Xiao family, the Ling family and the Wei family. Other than being extremely powerful in Four Corner City, the three great families also held great weight in the entire spirit realm. At this moment, in the Wei family, which was the leader of the three great families, Old Master Wei hurriedly ran out of the main hall. He saw the cute girl standing in the courtyard with a single glance and quickly walked up to her. There was a group of guards lying around the girl. They were all wailing and rolling on the ground, clearly injured. Oh my little ancestor, why are you here? Old Man Wei walked to the cute girl's side and glared fiercely at the guards lying on the ground. You bastards, do you think you can offend this little ancestor? The guards were extremely sad. They never thought that this inconspicuous little girl would be acquainted with the patriarch. Also, it seemed that the patriarch was a little afraid of her. Little ancestor, come in and sit. Does your father know that you're here? Old Man Wei walked forward with a smile, his words filled with flattery. Lin Ruobai grabbed Old Man Wei's beard and twirled it around her finger. Old Man Wei, your Four Corner City is too big. I've asked for directions for a long time but I still can't find the place I want to go. Hurry up and take me to Master. Your master? Old Master Wei blinked blankly. This little ancestor has a master? Who was so powerful that this little ancestor would take him as her master? That's right, my master valued his lover over his disciple, and threw me away. Until now, he still hasn't remembered that he's missing me. I can only go find her myself, but I don't know the way. Old Fart Wei, quickly send someone to send me there. Lin Ruobai blinked her big bright eyes and said with a smile. This. Old Master Wei asked timidly. Who is your master? Where is he? This little ancestor was a little devil, and her master was most likely a great devil. Seems like I won't have a good life. My master ran away with the Xiao family. Lin Ruobai pursed his lips, his eyes filled with grievance. Hurry up and send me over. Otherwise, I'll tell my father that you bullied me. Don't, my little ancestor. I'll take you to the Xiao clan right now. A layer of cold sweat appeared on Old Man Wei's forehead. If this little ancestor were to go home and look down on him, then his position as the head of the Wei clan would be over. However, what he didn't expect was that the Xiao family's luck was actually so good that they managed to abduct this little ancestor's master. And the only person in the Xiao family who could attract a woman's attention was Xiao Yuqing. Could it be that the person who had abducted this little ancestor's master was Xiao Yuqing? The more Old Man Wei thought about it, the more he felt that it was possible. It seemed like he had to change his attitude towards the Xiao clan in the future. Being able to form a relationship with this little ancestor was equivalent to stepping onto a big boat with a limitless future. Chapter 391. At the Xiao family home. In the east courtyard, Yun Luofeng stared condescendingly at Lin Yu, who had been beaten beyond recognition by her. A cold light flashed in her eyes. Back then, I will repay you bit by bit for everything you've done for Yun Xiao. Lin Yu's body trembled as she bit her lip. Her malicious eyes were like daggers dipped in poison as she glared fixedly at Yun Luofeng. Yun Xiao, let's go. Yun Luofeng did not spare her another glance as she slowly turned away and walked towards Yun Xiao. Her peerless features were lit up with a moving smile and her black eyes were as bright as the stars in the night sky. One could not help but be drawn into her gaze. The man nodded silently. His expressionless face was cold and grim. Just as Yun Luofeng reached the door, she suddenly remembered something and paused in her steps. Yun Xiao, I've finally remembered what I've forgotten. What is it? Yun Xiao's eyes fell upon the young girl as she asked. Xiao Bai. Yun Luofeng curled the corners of her lips. I've left that fellow Xiao Bai. She had been feeling awkward all over just now, as if she had forgotten something. Only now did she remember that little girl, Lin Ruobai. One could imagine how bitter she must have felt after being forgotten. In the great hall, Xiao Lin hurriedly went out to welcome the servant upon hearing his report. He immediately saw an old man and a young girl standing in the courtyard. The old man was majestic and his snow-white beard fluttered in the wind. Dressed in navy blue robes, he looked like a treasured blade that had yet to age. Next to him was an adorable young girl in white robes. This young girl had been looking around randomly with her large eyes as if she was searching for something. "Haha, Master Wei, why have you come?" Xiao Lin burst into laughter and stepped forward to welcome him. His eyes stared curiously at the young girl in white who was standing next to the old man. After all, he had never seen this little girl in the Wei family home. "Master Xiao," Master Wei smiled. "This little girl is a relative of mine. She's here to look for her master." Lin Ruobai's identity was very special. Based on Xiao Lin's abilities, he didn't have the right to know her true identity. Thus, he referred to her as a relative. "Oh!" A look of astonishment flashed across Xiao Lin's eyes. "I wonder who this young lady's master is." Old Master Wei didn't wait for Lin Ruobai's reply. He smiled and said, "You should ask Yuqing about this. Her master ran away with Xiao Yuqing of the Xiao family, so I'm guessing that only Xiao Yuqing knows where her master is." "Yuqing? Is her master Ling Yao?" There was some surprise in Xiao Lin's eyes. There was only Ling Yao by Yuqing's side. Who would have thought that the Ling family would have a relationship with the Wei family? In this way, the three major factions of Four Corner City could be considered to have completely merged together. "Ling Yao." Lin Ruobai curled his lips and said disdainfully, "How could that bitch be my master? My father's foresight isn't so bad that he would find such a slut to be my master." Even though Lin Ruobai had been cut off from the world for a very long time, she had grown up in that environment. How could she not understand the intrigue? Therefore, she had deliberately revealed this information. Her motive was to let old Master Wei know that her father had chosen her master for her and that her status was so noble. Chapter 392. Old Master Wei's expression became much more serious. Lin Ruobai becoming a disciple herself and Lin Jingfeng's decision were two completely different things. If Lin Jingfeng had chosen this master for her, then that person's status in spirit realm would be unparalleled. Old Master Wei. Xiao Lin frowned, his expression clearly displeased. Ling Yao is not just the daughter of the Ling family. She is the future mistress of the Xiao family. Isn't this girl lacking in upbringing by calling her that? Lacking in upbringing? Lin Ruobai's expression darkened. She had lived for so many years, and no one had ever dared to say that she lacked in upbringing. Humph! She snorted, and a trace of ridicule flashed across her adorable doll-like face. "Not only am I calling her a slut, I'm also going to say that Xiao Yuqing from your Xiao family insists on pestering my master. My master already has a man, so there's no way he'll like Xiao Yuqing. You'd better take care of your clan members first before educating me." Xiao Lin's expression darkened completely. At the start, when Lin Ruobai had insulted Ling Yao, he had endured because Ling Yao was not a member of the Xiao family. The second reason was that old Master Wei was the leader of the three families and he had to give him face. He hadn't thought that this girl would go so far as to insult Yuqing. She even said that Yuqing was pestering her master? What a joke! If Yuqing liked her master, would her master reject him? She would probably have leapt at him already. This. Old Master Wei looked in shock at Lin Ruobai. If it wasn't Xiao Yuqing who took away your master, then who? In the Xiao family, the most outstanding disciple was Xiao Yuqing. Therefore, old Master Wei could not imagine who else other than Xiao Yuqing could take away this little ancestor's master. Lin Ruobai twisted her lips. "Doesn't old Master Xiao have a grandson? He's the one who took away my master." Xiao Lin had just recovered from his anger when he heard Lin Ruobai's words. He could not stop himself from mocking. "So the woman that Trash brought back is your master? Like master, like disciple. You are all the same, lacking in upbringing." At this moment, Old Man Wei was still in a state of shock. Perhaps he had never imagined that Lin Ruobai's master would be related to that good-for-nothing from the Xiao family. If he had not insisted on personally sending this little ancestor to the Xiao clan today, he might have missed this piece of news. At that time, he would definitely have made an irreparable mistake. Fortunately, he came and didn't step on the wrong boat. Old Man Wei took a deep breath. He had originally wanted Xiao Lin to bring them to see Yun Luofeng, but Xiao Lin's mocking voice suddenly sounded in his ears. His old face instantly darkened. "Xiao family head, I will leave this little girl in your Xiao family for now. However, let me warn you, no matter what she wants to do, it is best to comply with her. Otherwise, if your Xiao family encounters any calamity, I will not be able to help you. Xiao Lin was really living too much. He actually dared to say such words in front of the little ancestor. If these words were to reach the ears of that person, the Xiao clan would immediately be removed from the three great clans. Sadly, this little ancestor's identity was far too special and he couldn't say it out loud. Or else Xiao Lin wouldn't dare to speak to her in such a manner. However, towards Old Man Wei's kind reminder, Xiao Lin only scoffed coldly, not taking it to heart. Old Man Wei, Lin Ruobai blinked his eyes slightly and said with a grin, "Can you help me capture him?" Chapter 393. Old Man Wei was shocked. He then smiled bitterly and said, "My little ancestor, Xiao Lin is the master of the Xiao family after all. This doesn't seem very appropriate, does it?" Just as he spoke, Lin Ruobai grabbed Old Man Wei's beard and threatened him sinisterly. "Old Man Wei, are you going to listen to me or not? If you don't go and capture him, I'll burn your beard." Old Man Wei shook his head in exasperation. He turned his gaze towards Xiao Lin and his elderly features carried an apologetic smile. "Master Xiao, I'm really sorry. It's your fault for offending this little ancestor. I have no choice but to put you through this." Xiao Lin took a step back when he saw the smile on Old Man Wei's face. He then berated him coldly. "What are you trying to do? Don't think that I'm afraid of you just because the Wei family is the leader of the three great families. I'm warning you, if you dare to touch me, don't blame me for joining forces with the Ling family against the Wei family." "Hee hee," Old Master Wei chuckled. "I have no choice, so I can only ask you to bear with me." Once he had spoken, his elderly figure moved like a gust of wind and quickly passed through the guards in front of him. He then charged towards Xiao Chen. Both of them were at the Heavenly Spirit stage, but Xiao Chen was only a mid-level Heavenly Spirit stage while Old Man Wei had broken through to a high-level Heavenly Spirit stage. The difference of one level was like the difference between heaven and earth. Hence, before Xiao Chen could even react, Old Man Wei had grabbed his shoulder fiercely. "Little ancestor, I've already caught him. Do whatever you want." Old Man Wei smiled and turned towards Lin Ruobai as he spoke. Lin Ruobai smiled sinisterly. Suddenly, a flame appeared in the palm of her hand and she stepped towards Xiao Chen. The Xiao family guards wanted to step forward and stop Lin Ruobai. However, before they could reach Lin Ruobai, their robes were set ablaze by the flame in her hand. They hurriedly threw down their weapons in terror and tried desperately to extinguish the flames on their bodies. "Wei Lianya, is this little girl your illegitimate daughter? Why are you indulging her like this?" Xiao Lin roared angrily when he saw Lin Ruobai walking towards him. This young lass was definitely an illegitimate daughter that old Fart Wei secretly had outside. If not, why would the always impartial old Master Wei do such a thing? Puchi! The flames in Lin Ruobai's palm instantly ignited Xiao Lin's beard. Her cute little face was filled with arrogance. "It's fine if you scold me, but you even dare to scold my master. Today, I will burn your beard, strip you naked and throw you out." Xiao Lin was so angry that his entire body was trembling. He wanted to struggle free from Old Man Wei's grasp, but Old Man Wei's hand was pressing down on him tightly, making him unable to move. "Wei Lianya, you old hooligan, you secretly gave birth to an illegitimate daughter, and you actually dare to tell me that she is your relative. If she is only a relative, would you indulge her like this?" Wei Lianya furrowed his brows. His eyes no longer had the apologetic look from before. He looked coldly at Xiao Lin and said, "Xiao Lin, don't forget that a loose tongue can cause trouble." "Hee hee," Xiao Lin laughed mockingly. "What, are you in my hands? You're an old hooligan. Shameless and vulgar." Hearing Xiao Lin's words, Wei Lianya's expression darkened. "Xiao Lin, no matter what you say now, I only want you to remember one thing. If this little ancestor loses even a single hair on her body, don't even think about keeping your Xiao family." Chapter 394. What he meant was that if Lin Ruobai suffered any damage, his beloved daughter would definitely not let the Xiao family off. But in Xiao Lin's ears, it became that if Lin Ruobai lost even a single hair, he, Wei Lianya, would definitely not let him off. "Wei Lianqing, if you indulge this little girl like this, she'll definitely become even more lawless in the future. At that time, it'll cause irreversible consequences, and your Wei clan will be dragged down by her. So, you better think this through clearly. Xiao Lin gritted his teeth and said word by word. Wei Lianqing saw that his words did not have any effect. He laughed coldly and no longer paid attention to the struggling Xiao Lin. His gaze slowly turned to Lin Ruobai. Little ancestor, you can start. Don't worry, with me holding him down, he won't even be able to move. The corners of Lin Ruobai's lips curled up into an innocent smile, and his big bright eyes glowed with a bright light. This old man's beard is a little short, but it's been a long time since I've burned my beard for fun, so I can use him to test it. Who asked this bastard to humiliate Master? Master was someone that even her father respected. No one had the right to humiliate her. Poof! The flames in Lin Ruobai's hands once again leaped towards Xiao Lin, causing his robes to also start burning. However, these flames seemed to have eyes, only burning his beard and clothes. Not long after, Xiao Lin's chin became bald, and his clothes turned into ashes that floated in the air. The skin on his naked body was already extremely loose, like the bark of an old tree. Old Fat Wei, throw this old bastard out for me. I want to make him lose all his face. Lin Ruobai arrogantly raised her cute little face, her soft voice carrying a tinge of determination. Okay. With a bang, after old Fat Wei agreed to it, he lifted Xiao Lin up and threw him out of the door. On the street outside of the Xiao clan, there were people coming and going. No one noticed Xiao Lin, who had been thrown out. Only when the muffled sound rang out did everyone turn their gazes over. They stared in astonishment at Xiao Lin, who was lying on the street with his clothes completely burnt. Isn't this the Xiao family's master? How did he end up in such a sorry state? I don't know. It feels like he was kicked out by someone, but where are his beard and clothes? The crowd's discussion was accompanied by the screams of some women, causing Xiao Lin to feel so embarrassed that he wanted to find a hole to hide in. At the same time, his hatred for Old Man Wei had reached a peak, and his old face was filled with malevolence. Wei Lianqing, I won't let you off. He roared angrily, his eyes filled with hatred. Being humiliated in public like this, how could he not bear a grudge? This was especially so since Xiao Lin was a vengeful person. Wei Lianqing didn't even look at Xiao Lin. He smiled at Lin Ruobai and said, Little ancestor, are you done playing? If it's not enough, I'll control him again and let you continue playing. Lin Ruobai pursed his lips. Go back. Then you. Wei Lianqing was stunned. Before he could finish speaking, he was interrupted by the girl's soft voice. Wherever Master is, I'll be there. Hearing this, Wei Lianqing frowned. If it was said that he was at ease leaving this little ancestor in the Xiao family at first, but after what they had done to Xiao Lin, who could guarantee that Xiao Lin wouldn't hate them? Chapter 395. How could he be at ease letting Lin Ruobai stay? Little ancestor, let's return to the Wei clan first. Xiao Lin is a treacherous and shameless old thing. You'll suffer if you stay here. I don't care. Lin Ruobai puffed up her cheeks. I'm here to find Master. Plus, with Master around, no one can hurt me. Wei Lianqing shook his head helplessly. Forget it, I really can't do anything to you. Only that Master of yours can control you. Remember, if anyone from the Xiao clan bullies you, look for me at the Wei clan immediately. I'll bring people to avenge you. If Wei Lianqing knew what kind of person Yun Luofeng was, perhaps he wouldn't have said such a thing. She was a hedonistic young master to begin with. How could she stop Lin Ruobai? She would only indulge this little girl. Lin Ruobai blinked and smiled evilly. No one in this world who can bully me has been born yet. I'd like to see if the Xiao clan has the guts to bully me. Wei Lianqing laughed bitterly. Indeed, this girl was unruly. Coupled with her noble status, there were very few people who could bully her. He hoped that the Xiao clan had some self-awareness. If this girl was hurt in the slightest, that lord wouldn't let them off. Little ancestor, then I'll return to the Wei clan first. Have fun and look for me if you need help. At this point, Wei Lianqing still reminded her worriedly, don't get into conflict with the Xiao clan when I'm not around. I'm afraid you'll be hurt. Lin Ruobai's lips twitched. Her face was full of disapproval. She had come here to vent her master's anger. Furthermore, she had already provoked the Xiao clan. It didn't matter if there were any more conflicts in the future. Wei Lianqing sighed helplessly when he saw that the girl didn't take his words to heart. He took one last look at Lin Ruobai and turned to leave the Xiao clan. No. He had to send a messenger pigeon to inform the Lord on Spirit God Mountain of this matter, and let him make a decision. Xiao Lin crawled up from the ground pathetically as he gazed in the direction that Wei Lianqing had left. He looked at the guards who were lying on the ground in the courtyard and roared in annoyance, "Get Xiao Chen to see me in the study immediately." "Yes, master." The guard stood up, cupped his fists and left. Xiao Lin also took this opportunity to change his clothes. However, because of the stairs that made him feel like there were needles on his back, his footsteps were incomparably hurried. He wanted to quickly leave this shameful place. In the study, Xiao Chen stood at the seat of honor. There was a dark glint on his handsome face. "Father, I heard about what happened just now. I did not expect old Fat Wei to be so daring. He actually dared to hurt someone in public." "Humph." Old man Xiao snorted coldly. "That old bastard Wei Lianqing didn't put our Xiao and Ling families in his eyes just because he went to the spiritual god mountain. His strength is only slightly stronger than mine. What's so great about that? If he hadn't been chosen by that person on Spirit God Mountain, his rank wouldn't have surpassed mine." Spirit God Mountain was equivalent to the ruler of Spirit Realm. They controlled the life and death of Spirit Realm. However, the people on Spirit God Mountain were extremely mysterious. Very few people in Spirit Realm had seen them. No one was able to enter Spirit God Mountain. As a result, the people on Spirit God Mountain were worshipped like gods by others. Chapter 396. If Spirit Realm was said to be a small world, Spirit God Mountain was the god of this world. He had an extremely high status in the hearts of the people. Even though those people from Spiritual God Mountain didn't appear in the eyes of the world, they still gave out a golden jade tablet. It was rumored that those who held the golden jade token were equivalent to envoys of Spirit God Mountain, and held an important position in Spirit Realm. It was obvious that Old Man Wei had a golden jade token in his hand. This golden jade token was also a proof of entry to Spirit God Mountain. I really don't know what that person from Spirit God Mountain is thinking, actually liking that old bastard Wei Lianqing. Back then I was stronger than him, but ever since he entered Spirit God Mountain, he surpassed me and became the head of the three great families. Xiao Lin said indignantly. From his point of view, he was much more outstanding than Wei Lianqing, yet he wasn't chosen by anyone from Spirit God Mountain. Someone like Wei Lianqing actually obtained such a lucky chance, it was just too unfair. "Father, what should we do next?" Xiao Chen frowned and said worriedly, "Not only has Wei Lianqing become a high-stage heavenly spirit being, she has also gained the favor of the Spiritual God Mountain. I'm afraid it won't be that easy for us to deal with her. That's why I've asked you to come here to discuss this matter." Xiao Lin's eyes darkened and the corners of his mouth curled into a sarcastic smile. "Since that good-for-nothing is unwilling to return the engagement token, we don't need to bother with him anymore. Directly let Yu Qing and Ling Yao be engaged. Our Xiao family can only stand on the same side as the Ling family to deal with Wei Lianqing together." Xiao Chen was stunned. He said hesitantly, "Even if our Xiao clan and the Ling clan work together, we might not be able to defeat the Wei clan. We'll have to rely on Yu Qing for this." Xiao Chen smiled coldly. "We'll open up the secret zone for Yu Qing in advance. If he enters the secret zone to cultivate, his power will definitely improve by leaps and bounds. By then, with Xiao Yu Qing, would the Xiao family still be afraid of the Wei family? Only direct descendants of the Xiao clan could enter the secret domain. Of course, because the secret domain only opened once every 100 years, Xiao Lin and Xiao Chen had never entered the secret domain before. As for why Xiao Lin didn't personally enter the secret realm, this was because only those below the heavenly spirit realm could enter the secret realm. Once he broke through to the celestial spirit stage, he would not be able to step into the arcana realm. It was even more impossible for Xiao Chen. His talent was not bad, but it was still incomparable to Xiao Yuqing's. Xiao Yuqing was about to surpass him at such a young age. No one in the entire spirit realm could match this kind of talent. Therefore, Xiao Lin would definitely give such a precious opportunity to Xiao Yuqing instead of choosing to let his son enter the secret realm. "Father, there's something we've overlooked." Xiao Chen glanced at Xiao Lin and continued, "Wei Lianqing is someone that the Spirit God Mountain has taken a liking to. If we were to deal with him, would the Spirit God Mountain have any objections?" "You worry too much about this." A light flashed through Xiao Lin's darkened eyes. A force like Spirit God Mountain does not lack subordinates. When Yu Qing grows up, our Shao family can completely replace the Wei family and work for Spirit God Mountain. At that time, Spirit God Mountain will definitely not pursue our crime of killing Wei Lianqing. Xiao Chen's tightly furrowed brows slowly relaxed. He asked respectfully, "Father, when will we open the secret realm?" "In a few days." Every time Xiao Lin thought of the humiliation he had suffered today, a wave of anger surged from his chest. He said coldly, "Opening the secret realm requires time. After a few days, we'll send Yu Qing into the secret realm." Chapter 397. The day Xiao Yuqing leaves the secret zone would be the day of the Wei family's destruction. Now, he would let these people run wild for a few more days. "Father, when Yuqing successfully enters the secret zone and becomes the master of the family, what should we do with that good-for-nothing and the woman by his side?" Xiao Chen's eyes flashed with viciousness as he asked. "Execute them all." His voice was as gloomy as ever, as if Yun Xiao was not his grandson but an irreconcilable enemy. "Even though that good-for-nothing is no longer a member of the Xiao family, I will never allow him to change his surname. His actions have crossed my bottom line. If we let this good-for-nothing live, we will be the ones to lose face." However, he could not afford to lose face like that. A good-for-nothing like him has no right to live. He would only spare his life if he was more talented than Xiao Yuqing. "All right." Xiao Chen's eyes lit up and the smile on his lips was filled with murderous intent. It was obvious that he had wanted to get rid of that good-for-nothing for a very long time. He would not allow his bloodline to be such a good-for-nothing. Back then, if not for his father's leniency, he might have executed him a long time ago. It was a good thing that his father had finally thought things through and realized that this kind of good-for-nothing has no right to live. Xiao Lin closed his eyes and his elderly face was emotionless. "I did not want to kill him at first. No matter how good-for-nothing he is still a member of the Xiao family. However, what did he do? Not only did he change his surname for a woman, he even threatened me because of her. I've said it before, once Yuqing successfully activates the secret zone, I will not let him off." He had brought all of this upon himself. Who asked him to be a good-for-nothing that everyone despised? "Chen you may leave. Comfort your wife. After all, she is Yuqing's mother." Xiao Chen opened his eyes and said calmly, "Since Yuqing is the future master of the Xiao family, his mother's position must be very high. Your actions today must have hurt her." Xiao Chen narrowed his eyes slightly, and a fierce look flashed in his eyes. "If it wasn't for that piece of trash, I wouldn't have hurt Yu's heart. This is all his fault. I will never forgive him." Hearing this, Xiao Lin waved his hand. There was a look of exhaustion on his face. "All right, if you have anything to say, go back and tell Yuqing's mother. I'm going to prepare for the opening of the secret realm in a few days. During this period of time, just let them do whatever they want." The Xiao family already had a lawless Yun Luofeng who was connived by Yun Xiao, and now there was a Lin Ruobai who had the support of Wei Lianqing. Xiao Lin could already imagine the future of the Xiao clan. However, he had no time to bother with these people. He would only be able to deal with these people after Yu Qing had successfully entered the mystery realm. Moreover, he would be able to help the Xiao clan reach a higher level. Before that, he could only endure. "Master." In the courtyard, Lin Ruobai saw the beautiful young girl standing under the maple tree with one glance. She pouted and tears of grievance almost fell from her eyes. Then, she quickly ran towards the young girl and opened her arms, wanting to throw herself into her arms. However, just as Lin Ruobai arrived in front of Yun Luofeng, a strong arm suddenly reached out from the side and pulled the beautiful girl into an embrace. Thump! Lin Ruobai fell headfirst into the tree. She rubbed her aching forehead and turned her pitiful gaze towards Yun Luofeng. Her gaze was extremely aggrieved, like a puppy that had been abandoned by its owner. It was full of grief. Chapter 398. However, Lin Ruobai did not dare to step forward again, because the eyes of the man hugging Yun Luofeng were too frightening. He was as cold as a god of death, causing her heart to tremble uncontrollably. "Yun Xiao, don't scare her." Yun Luofeng glanced at Lin Ruobai's trembling figure and raised his eyebrows. His lips curled into a moving smile. After saying this, Yun Xiao finally retracted her gaze. At the same time, Lin Ruobai felt her heart finally relax and the cold aura that had surrounded her also disappeared. "Master," Lin Ruobai tugged on Yun Luofeng's arm and said aggrievedly, "in these few hours, Didn't you notice that you left something behind? Yun Luofeng said honestly. I forgot at first, but then I remembered. I thought that you should be able to find the way to the Shao family, so I didn't look for you. Master. Lin Ruobai's gaze became more and more resentful. She stared at Yun Luofeng like a vengeful spirit. How could you forget such a big person like me? Looks like Grandmaster's charisma is not shallow. This was the first time she had seen a master who valued love over friendship and didn't even notice that his disciple had been lost. Yun Luofeng paused. Your Grandmaster's charisma is indeed great. With him around, I really did forget about you. It would have been better if she hadn't said anything. Now that she said this, Lin Ruobai almost cried. It was fine if the delicacies were destroyed, but even her master had abandoned her. All right, Yun Luofeng frowned slightly and turned to look at Lin Ruobai. When you entered the Shao family, no one stopped you? Lin Ruobai pouted. I burned the old man's beard and clothes, and even threw him on the street. Master, did I cause trouble for you? What she meant was that if she caused trouble for Yun Luofeng because of her actions against Shao Lin, then she would immediately ask her father to send troops to help. At that time, the Shao family would not be able to cause any trouble. Well done, Yun Luofeng patted Lin Ruobai's little head. Seeing that I am very satisfied with your actions today, I will not abandon you in the future. Really? Lin Ruobai's tone was suspicious. Could she really trust a master who valued love over disciple? Don't worry. I will definitely do what I say. It's just that when you used fire to burn Shao Lin, did he hurt you? Lin Ruobai was quite talented, but she could not compare to Shao Lin, who was an intermediate heavenly spirit warrior. As such, Yun Luofeng was confused as to how she was able to enter the Shao clan safely after hurting Shao Lin. In response to Yun Luofeng's question, Lin Ruobai only revealed a mysterious smile. I have helpers. It had to be said that the old man from the Wei clan was a pretty good helper. In the future, if he wanted to bully Shao Lin again, he would need the help of this helper. Hearing this, Yun Luofeng did not ask any more questions. She leaned her back against the man next to her and lazily raised the corners of her lips. Shao Bai, I don't care what your identity is. Since you're my disciple now, you must listen to me. Do you understand? Master, your disciple will definitely obey your every command. Lin Ruobai hurriedly straightened her body and said respectfully, as long as you don't abandon me again, I won't set fire to anyone you want me to kill. All right, remember what you said today. Yun Luofeng slowly moved his back away from Yun Shao and swept his evil eyes towards Lin Ruobai. It's getting late. Hurry up and find a room to rest. Don't disturb my date with your grandmaster. Lin Ruobai pursed her lips. Master was indeed someone who valued love over disciple. After having grandmaster, she, as a disciple, had become a burden. Chapter 399. Yes, master. No matter what she was thinking, Lin Ruobai did not dare to express it. This was because she could already feel the increasingly cold aura from Yun Zhao's body. That aura seemed to be urging her to leave. If she lingered for even a moment longer, she believes that this man would throw her out. Hence, Lin Ruobai chose to quickly leave this place. Under the maple tree, the grim man stared coldly at Lin Ruobai's disappearing figure and said in a low voice, She's very dangerous. Dangerous? Yun Luofeng stared blankly. She had never associated the word danger with Lin Ruobai. Hence, when she heard Yun Zhao's words, her expression turned slightly serious. Yun Zhao, do you know something? I can feel that there is a very strong power in her bloodline. That power is not the one you sealed, but something extremely dangerous. Before this, Yun Luofeng had already told Yun Zhao about Lin Ruobai's background. Hence, Yun Zhao knew that she had helped this young girl to seal away a power. It was just that back then at the restaurant, Yun Zhao only saw Yun Luofeng's existence and everyone else beside him was ignored by him. Hence, he now realized that Lin Ruobai was different from the others. Yun Zhao, what do you mean by danger? Yun Luofeng turned towards Yun Zhao and asked. Yun Zhao was silent for a moment before she replied. The power hidden in her blood is very powerful. If she controls it well, she will become your right-hand man in the future. If she is unable to control that power, she will become a bloodthirsty demon. Hearing this, Yun Luofeng smiled. Her smile was absolutely beautiful and it was as beautiful as a flash of youth. I have faith in Shao Bai. Yun Zhao's gaze fell upon Yun Luofeng. However, I will not allow any danger to appear by your side. Even though Yun Luofeng believes in Xiao Bai, he does not want her to suffer any harm. Yun Xiao, Xiao Bai is only 13 years old now. She is still young, so I have a lot of time to nurture her. Yun Luofeng raised his head and stared at the grim man next to him. I know you don't believe in Xiao Bai, but you must believe in my power. She knew that Yun Xiao had said this out of consideration for her safety, but she had a lot of confidence in Xiao Bai. Yun Xiao sank into deep thought. After a while, his black eyes turned towards Yun Luofeng again, his expression exceptionally serious. All right. For you, I'll believe her this once. He believed her only because of Yun Luofeng. But if Lin Ruobai really harmed Yun Luofeng, then he would definitely not let her off. Yun Luofeng gently smiled, her gaze gradually turning towards the distant sky. Her long eyelashes drooped slightly, and while Yun Xiao was not paying attention, she used a soul transmission to ask, Little Mo, did you already know about Xiao Bai's situation? Little Mo's voice was a little weak. I've said it before. Her identity is a little special. If you accept her, she will be of help to you in the future. Yun Luofeng raised his eyebrows and said with a faint smile, but you didn't tell me that she might not be able to control her power in the future and become a demon. This. Little Mo's voice was cautious. Doesn't it depend on luck? If she can control her power, she will be of great use to you in the future. Then let me ask you, how confident is she that she can control her power? Chapter 400. Little Mo fell silent. After a long time he replied in a timid tone, 10%. This means that there was a 90% chance that Lin Ruobai would not be able to control her powers. No wonder Yun Xiao did not want Lin Ruobai to stay by her side. Because there were too few chances for her to control her powers. Little Mo, you actually hid this from me. Yun Luofeng's voice gradually revealed a trace of anger. This is your loyalty to me? Master, don't be angry. Little Mo noticed the anger in Yun Luofeng's voice and felt a little afraid. However, he still replied firmly, she only had a 10% chance of success, but with me around, there will be no problem at all. Yun Luofeng narrowed his eyes. Are you sure? Little Mo replied in an uncertain tone. I should be sure. Master, you are not strong enough right now. Once you are strong enough, I should be able to help her. Hearing this, Yun Luofeng suppressed the anger in his heart and his lips curled into a cold smile. I'll trust you one more time. Also, you must tell me everything in the future and do not hide anything. Otherwise, I will immediately break the contract with the Divine Medicine Codex and you can look for another master. Little Mo's heart trembled violently and he was so anxious that he was about to cry. Master, I was wrong. I won't dare to do it again. I'm really confident that I can help her. At that time, I was worried that you would abandon her if I told you. Sob sob, it wasn't easy for me to meet you, Master. Please don't abandon me. The little boy's soft sobs softened Yun Luofeng's heart. She knew that Little Mo was speaking the truth. If she had known this earlier, even if she had saved Lin Ruobai, she might not have accepted him as her disciple. After all, she was no longer alone. She could not simply take risks and she could not bring danger to her family. If she had been alone, she would have risked her life regardless of the danger. But now, since she had accepted Lin Ruobai as her disciple, she would take responsibility for her no matter what kind of person she was. Little Mo, you must remember, there will not be a next time. If she had brought danger to her family because of her, she would never forgive herself for the rest of her life. Master, don't worry. This won't happen again. No matter what happens in the future, I will tell you in advance. Little Mo's voice was firm. This time, he did realize that he had made a mistake. No matter what decision his master would make, he should tell him the truth without any selfishness. By the way, Master Little White, she's my disciple now, so no matter how confident she is in controlling that power, I won't give up on her. Yun Luofeng looked up slightly, his black eyes shining like the stars in the night sky. Little Mo, when the time comes, what should I do to help her? Little Mo pondered for a moment before replying, I'm not too sure right now. I only know that Master needs to improve your strength. The stronger you are, the more confident she will be in controlling that power. All right, I understand. Yun Luofeng lowered her eyelids. It looked like she really needed to increase her strength. Of course, the pressing matter at hand now was to first find the jade token that sealed a piece of Yun Zhao's soul. Only by taking back that jade token could she leave spirit realm with peace of mind and increase her strength. Chapter 401. You are. At this moment, in a luxurious room, Xiao Chen stared at the beautiful woman lying on the bed with heartache in his eyes. He slowly stepped forward and gently brushed his fingers through her silky hair. There was a hint of hostility in his lowered eyes. Don't worry, I will avenge you. Lin Yu laughed icily and turned around to face the wall. Clearly, she had not forgiven Xiao Chen for what he had just done. You are. Xiao Chen's hatred towards Yun Xiao and Yun Luofeng deepened when he saw Lin Yu's attitude. He took a deep breath and said, Father has said to let Yuqing enter the secret zone earlier. When that time comes, you can do whatever you want to those two. Lin Yu's body trembled. A sense of hatred flashed in her eyes and her beautiful face twisted into a sinister expression. You're saying that Yuqing can enter the secret zone earlier? Lin Yu turned around and looked at Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen nodded gently. This is father's decision. Furthermore, he no longer cares about the engagement token. Even if that good-for-nothing is unwilling to hand it over, the engagement between them must be annulled. Then let Yuqing marry the Ling family's girl as soon as possible. Lin Yu smiled icily. Otherwise, some women will harbor ill intentions towards him. She still believes that Yun Luofeng would never like a good-for-nothing like Yun Xiao, and that his heart would only belong to Xiao Yuqing. However, she had never considered that if Yun Luofeng truly loved Xiao Yuqing, why would he have attacked her? Are you willing to forgive me for my previous actions? Xiao Chen's eyes were filled with tenderness as he stared pitifully at Lin Yu, who was lying on the bed covered in wounds. He could imagine how vicious Yun Luofeng must have been to beat her up to this extent. Lin Yu's eyes darkened. Xiao Chen, I've been married to you for so many years and I've even given birth to such an outstanding son for you. Yet, you chose to abandon me at a critical moment. Do you know how bitterly disappointed I am? I made that choice back then for our son. We still have a use for that good-for-nothing now. When he's no longer useful, we'll cripple him. When he said the last few words, Xiao Chen gritted his teeth fiercely, as if Yun Xiao was his irreconcilable enemy and not his own son. When she heard this, Lin Yu's eyes flickered slightly. She pointed out something and said, Xiao Chen, it is said that after all the disciples of the Xiao clan are born, they will use a piece of their soul to make a jade tablet to bind the disciples of the Xiao clan. You mean, I want that trash's jade token. Lin Yu's lips curled up into a cruel smile. If you want me to forgive you for what you've done, then hand over the jade token of that good-for-nothing. Otherwise, I won't forgive you. Xiao Chen frowned and fell silent. The jade plates of all the disciples of the Xiao clan were in his father's hands. Now that his father was busy with Yuqing's matter, he probably had no time to care about these secular matters. Moreover, even if he had the time, he might not hand the jade plates to Lin Yu. However, when he saw the anger in Lin Yu's eyes, Xiao Chen made up his mind and said through gritted teeth, Fine. I know where the jade plate is. I'll steal it for you later. However, I'll need to make a fake jade plate to replace the one I've taken. If he did not do this and his father found out about it, his father would certainly fly into a rage. Chapter 402. Husband. Lin Yu's expression softened when she heard Xiao Chen's words. She buried her swollen face in the man's arms and said gently, Then I'll wait for your good news here. Xiao Chen felt a little nauseous when he saw Lin Yu's swollen face. However, when he recalled what Xiao Lin had said to him previously, he hid all the disgust in his heart and revealed a doting look in his eyes. I'll bring his jade token to you very soon. You just need to wait quietly. After saying this, Xiao Chen hugged Lin Yu's body tightly and the corners of his lips curled into a helpless smile. While they were talking, they did not notice that in a dark corner, a little white hamster had quickly squeezed out of the door and disappeared under the bright sunlight. East Courtyard. In the cozy bedroom, Yun Luofeng slowly opened her eyes and looked at Milk Tea who had rushed in from outside the door. She asked, How was it? Did you manage to find out anything? Squeak squeak. Milk Tea leaped onto Yun Luofeng's thighs and waved her hands and feet as she squeaked. Little Mo, can you understand what it's saying? Yun Luofeng frowned and asked. After a while, Little Mo's soft voice came from her soul bosom. Master, it said that it heard a piece of news from Xiao Chen and Lin Yu's room just now. Apparently, Yun Zhao's jade tablet is in Xiao Lin's possession, but Lin Yu gave it to Xiao Chen to steal it and give it to him. Yun Luofeng was startled and a smile appeared on her beautiful face. I originally guessed that Lin Yu would not easily swallow this humiliation. That's why I asked Milk Tea to investigate the situation. I didn't expect to receive such a huge surprise. If the jade token was in Xiao Lin's hands, it would be very difficult for her to find out its whereabouts. After all, who knew where he had hidden it? What Yun Luofeng did not expect was that Lin Yu had designs on Yun Zhao's jade token. In this case, she only needed to keep an eye on Lin Yu. Milk Tea, continue to keep an eye on the situation. Inform me if there's any news. Squeak squeak. Milk Tea happily called out twice. Her small body quickly rushed out of the door and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Yun Luofeng stared at Milk Tea's disappearing figure, and the smile on the corners of his lips revealed a trace of evil. Now, I only need to wait here quietly for news. Once we obtain the jade token, it will be time to strike at the Yun family. Night fell. The moonlight was like water, pouring into the room. Xiao Chen's figure sneaked in from outside the door. After making sure that no one was following him, he heaved a sigh of relief and walked towards Lin Yu, who was resting on the bed with her eyes closed. I've already brought the jade token for you. He carefully took out a jade token from his lapel, put it in front of Lin Yu and said, You must keep this jade token well. At least before Yuqing ascends to the position of the family head, you can't let anyone know about this. If my father finds out about this, both of us will be punished. Once Xiao Yuqing becomes the patriarch, they will have the final say in the entire Xiao family. In this case, why would they need to be afraid of that old fart? Lin Yu happily took the jade token and a sinister smile hung on her face. That good-for-nothing probably never thought that there would be a day where his life would be in my hands. In the future, if I want him to live, he must live. If I want him to die, he can only die. Chapter 403. At that moment, Lin Yu was no longer as beautiful as she used to be. Coupled with her ferocious expression, Xiao Chen could not help but feel disgusted. However, she was Xiao Yuqing's mother. For Yuqing's sake, he had to pretend to love her very much. I've brought you what you wanted. However, I have other matters to attend to now. You should have a good rest. Xiao Chen's gaze was filled with gentleness. His voice was as gentle as ever. Lin Yu played with the jade token in her hand and did not even look at Xiao Chen. She said happily, All right, you can go now. Xiao Chen shook his head. He took one last look at Lin Yu before he turned around and walked out of the room. His tall and fierce figure soon disappeared into the night. Jade token, I've finally got you. Lin Yu took a deep breath. There was a sinister look in her beautiful eyes. From now on, I'd like to see how a good-for-nothing like you can pretend to be so cold in front of me. Furthermore, you even dared to snatch my son's woman. Why don't you take a good look at yourself? How can you be worthy of the Ling family's daughter? Swoosh! Just as Lin Yu was playing with the jade token, a white shadow suddenly appeared from the side. Then, the jade token in her hand disappeared into thin air. Lin Yu stared at her empty palm and was stunned. She hurriedly swept her gaze towards the door. She then saw a fat white hamster dragging a jade token that was even bigger than it as it struggled to run out of the door. Lin Yu immediately returned to her senses and shouted angrily, Little bastard, how dare you steal from the Xiao family? You're courting death. Lin Yu stood up angrily and slapped the little hamster on the ground. The entire ground trembled from her slap and dust rose into the air. She had initially thought that she would be able to smash Milk Tea into a meat patty. However, when she retracted her palm, she realized that there was only a hole the size of a jade token left on the ground. As for the little hamster that had stolen the jade token, it had already escaped from the hole. Ah! Lin Yu had gone completely mad. Her messy hair hung loosely over her shoulders as she roared angrily like a mad woman. That damned gold-seeking rat. If she ever finds it, she will definitely tear it into pieces. What happened? Xiao Chen, who had gone far away, turned back when he heard Lin Yu's angry roar. He hurriedly pushed the door open and entered. He frowned in dissatisfaction when he saw Lin Yu with disheveled hair. Lin Yu's heart gradually calmed down, and she said in a normal tone, Just now, a gold-seeking rat took away my jade ring. I was about to slap it to death, but it dug a hole and escaped. No matter what, she could not let Xiao Chen know that the jade token had been stolen, so she chose to lie. Gold-seeking rat? Xiao Chen frowned. Why does the Shao clan have such an inferior spirit beast like the gold-seeking rat? Do you remember the color of the gold-seeking mice? I'll send someone to search for it later. All right. Lin Yu nodded slightly and said, that gold-seeking rat has a white body and is quite fat. It can dig holes very quickly. Husband, you must catch this damned beast. Lin Yu gritted her teeth in hatred as she spoke. One could imagine how much damage Milk Tea's actions had caused to her. She had been eyeing the jade token for a long time in order to kill that good-for-nothing. She had never expected that it would be stolen right after she had gotten it. How could she not feel hatred? As long as she caught that little beast, she would not be able to quell the anger in her heart until she whipped its corpse for 100 days. Chapter 404. This is the Soul Jade Tablet? In an elegant room, the curtains fluttered as Yun Luofeng received a dark brown jade tablet from Milk Tea. The corners of his lips curled into a smile as he turned to look at the grim man next to him. Yun Xiao, take a look and see if this jade tablet is real or fake. Yun Xiao received the jade tablet from Yun Luofeng's hand and examined it carefully before placing it back into the young girl's hand. It's real. Yun Luofeng raised his brows. In that case, Xiao Chen did not casually use a jade tablet to fool Lin Yu. However, their actions have benefited us. Yun Xiao, since you've obtained the jade tablet, take good care of it. Yun Xiao glanced at the jade tablet that Yun Luofeng had placed in front of him but did not accept it. He gently raised his dark eyes and stared deeply at the young girl's beautiful and demonic features. This jade tablet is for you. Yun Luofeng was stunned and confusion flashed across his eyes. The soul jade tablet represents your life. I'm afraid it's a little inappropriate for you to give it to me like this. Hearing this, Yun Zhao's gaze became even more serious. The jade tablet and my life are in your hands. The jade tablet and my life are in your hands. The man's voice was filled with sincerity and caused Yun Luofeng's fingers to tremble. She looked at the man's grim and handsome features and finally accepted the jade tablet. All right, I'll take care of this jade tablet for you. As long as I'm alive, I won't allow it to suffer any damage. When he saw Yun Luofeng accept the jade tablet, the corners of Yun Zhao's lips curled up at an extremely slow speed and curled into an undetectable smile. If I'm not by your side in the future, this represents me and will accompany you. Yun Xiao slowly stepped forward and wrapped his powerful arms tightly around the beautiful young girl in front of him. At this moment, he could even smell the faint fragrance from the young girl's body. This fragrance made him feel very satisfied. In this life, as long as he could have her, he would have no other regrets. Yun Xiao, when do you plan to make a move against the Xiao family? Yun Luofeng seemed to remember something and asked. Yun Xiao stared blankly, his brows tightly knitted together. On the day that Xiao Yuqing opened the secret realm. Because I'm interested in this secret realm. All right. Yun Luofeng's lips curled up. When that day comes, I will make the people of the Xiao clan regret what they did to you that day. They would live in extreme regret for the rest of their lives, unable to climb out of it. This was her severe punishment for the Xiao family. The opening of the Xiao clan's mystic realm was the most significant event in the past 100 years. Therefore, on this day, the three great clans of Four Corner City gathered at the Xiao clan. However, Xiao Lin and the head of the Ling family, Ling Feng, ignored Wei Lianqing as if they didn't notice his existence. Wei Lianqing didn't mind. His smiling eyes were fixed on the adorable little girl standing next to Yun Luofeng. He only heaved a sigh of relief when he saw that she was safe and sound. It had been a few days. It had been a few days since he sent a message to Spirit God Mountain. That person must have already known that his daughter was being bullied here and would probably come to Four Corner City soon. For a guy who loved his daughter as much as his own life, he would be distressed for half a day if his daughter lost even a strand of hair, let alone being humiliated like this. Cough, cough. Looking at the crowd, Xiao Lin coughed dryly and cleared his throat. He said, I'm sure that everyone knows what the Xiao clan is going to hold today. But before that, I have something to announce to everyone. Chapter 405. Everyone looked at each other with confusion in their eyes. Just as they were guessing what Xiao Lin was going to announce, the old man's hoarse and stern voice was heard again. As everyone knows, a few years ago, the Xiao clan and the Ling clan had a marriage agreement. But we didn't expect little Xiao to be a natural good-for-nothing. I don't want to drag Ling Yao down, so I plan to break off the marriage agreement for both of them and marry Ling Yao to Yuqing. Lin Ruobai stood quietly next to Yun Luofeng. After hearing Xiao Lin's words, her bright and adorable eyes showed a hint of disdain. This old man dared to call Grandmaster a good-for-nothing. If Grandmaster was a good-for-nothing, what kind of genius would there be in this world? Although Lin Ruobai still did not know Yun Zhao's power, she had absolute faith in Yun Luofeng. How bad could a man that Yun Luofeng had taken a liking to be? In the end, this group of people came to this conclusion without knowing anything. Lin Yu's eyes were filled with ridicule. She looked at the joyful Ling Yao next to her and her expression gradually softened. Yao. Do you still remember what I said to you last night? Ling Yao nodded vigorously. Auntie, can you really find a doctor to cure me? Of course. It's fake. She does not even know what poison Ling Yao is suffering from. How could she possibly cure her? Moreover, the Ling family had found so many doctors to no avail. Where could she go to find a miracle doctor? Even though that was what she was thinking, Lin Yu still smiled and replied, Of course it's true. Have you heard of Miracle Dr. Tianya? He's a famous miracle doctor on the mainland. He plans to cure you so you don't have to be afraid of Yun Luofeng anymore. With the Xiao family backing you up, what's there to be afraid of? This girl Ling Yao is stupid and easily fooled. She believes everything I say. How could I possibly invite a person like Miracle Dr. Tianya? However, no matter what, it's enough as long as Ling Yao believes me. Auntie, I understand. Ling Yao's heart was filled with excitement. That bitch Yun Luofeng did such a thing to me. I won't let her get away with it. Lin Yu curled up the corners of her lips and a sinister smile appeared on her face. Whatever you want to say, whatever you want to do, go ahead. As long as you can discuss them today, I will immediately ask Dr. Tianya to treat you. As the madam of the Xiao family, she needed to maintain her dignity and couldn't insult others. That was why she schemed to make Ling Yao listen to her. This way, not only would she not lose face, she would also be able to say what she wanted to say. Sure enough, upon hearing Lin Yu's words, the fear in Ling Yao's heart disappeared. She raised her head and puffed out her chest as she walked towards Yun Xiao. Yun Xiao, so what if you don't hand over our engagement token? I will still break off the engagement with you. Let me tell you, only brother Yu Qing is worthy of me. Who do you think you are? Even if I, Ling Yao, were blind, I would never fall for a man like you. She had originally thought that after she and Xiao Yuqing got engaged, this good-for-nothing would no longer be able to maintain that cold expression and would no longer be able to indulge in his desires. Who would have thought that even at a time like this, Yun Xiao would still not look at her? His eyes were fixed on the peerless beauty next to him. Ling Yao was thoroughly enraged. She pointed at Yun Luofeng and gritted her teeth as she said, Don't think that I don't know that you had purposely invited this woman here with the intention of putting on a good show of indulging in your desires. Unfortunately, you've underestimated me. No matter what, I will never like you. Chapter 406. In Ling Yao's opinion, no matter how strong Yun Luofeng was, she was only the daughter of a small noble family in Long Yuan country. How could she compare to the little princess of the Ling family? It was impossible for Yun Xiao to not pursue someone with such good qualifications and choose a lowly woman instead. That's right. In Ling Yao's mind, even if Yun Luofeng was the eldest daughter of the general's residence, she could not escape the word lowly. Yun Zhao's expression finally changed a little. His cold gaze slowly turned to Ling Yao and he said in a low voice, Scram! Ling Yao was stunned. This trash actually told her to scram? Where did he get the courage to say such a thing? What did you just say? Ling Yao's face was ashen. Say it again if you dare. Lin Ruobai couldn't help but burst into laughter. She blinked her big bright eyes at Ling Yao and giggled. Auntie, is there something wrong with your brain? My grandmaster told you to scram. Didn't you hear him? My grandmaster isn't ugly enough to take a fancy to a woman as ugly as you. Xiao Bai's words made Ling Yao tremble in anger. This damned girl, she was only a few years younger than her. How dare she call her auntie? And she even insulted her for being ugly? With her looks, she had seduced countless young men in spirit realm. How dare she say she was ugly? Damned girl. Do you have any manners? Ling Yao glared at the innocent-looking Lin Ruobai. She wanted nothing more than to tear her adorable, apple-like face apart. Birds choose the best tree to nest in. I wonder if you've heard of this saying? Even if this woman's talent is not bad, she has a lowly status. Which man would give up on me and choose her? In the Wei family's group, Wei Lianqing frowned when he heard Ling Yao's words. This Ling family girl really had a problem with her brain. How dare she say that this little ancestor's master had a lowly status? If her status was lowly, then what was Spirit God Mountain? Wei Lianqing wanted to teach her a lesson. But before he could speak, he was interrupted by Lin Yu's gentle voice. Yaoer, you can't say that. Even if she has a lowly status, we can't disrespect her like this. Wei Lianqing's frown deepened. Even though Lin Yu kept saying that she wanted to respect Yun Luofeng, she was still biting on the word, lowly. Everyone could hear the meaning behind her words. Auntie, Ling Yao pouted unhappily, have you forgotten how this bitch treated you? You're still speaking up for her. A few days ago, she took advantage of the fact that our Shao family still needed this trash and did not hesitate to use this as a threat to beat you up. You're still speaking up for her now. People like her won't appreciate it. Ling Yao's voice drew everyone's attention to Lin Yu. Only then did he discover that there were indeed some scars on Lin Yu's face. The redness and swelling on her chin had not faded. She was not as beautiful as she used to be. Lin Yu frowned in displeasure when she noticed Ling Yao's words. She cursed her for being an idiot in her heart. However, no matter how angry she was, she did not show it on her face. She continued to smile at Ling Yao. We should repay evil with good. We shouldn't be so unforgiving. Yaoer, I know you hate this woman because she seduced Yu Qing. But my Yu Qing is so resolute. How could he be seduced? You can rest assured on this point. Chapter 407. The crowd sighed endlessly and looked at Yun Luofeng with disdain. Who would have thought that this woman who looked so righteous would seduce young Master Yu Qing after seducing the eldest young master of the Shao family who had been chased out? A beautiful woman like her should be captured and thrown into a pig's cage. Yun Zhao's cold gaze gradually shifted away from Yun Luofeng and slowly turned towards Lin Yu. A murderous aura abruptly rose from his body. His paralyzed face was expressionless and he was as cold as a god of death. A man like this would be the center of attention no matter where he was. Unfortunately, he was just a good-for-nothing. What? Ling Yao noticed Yun Zhao's gaze and laughed icily. She then said mockingly, Is Auntie wrong? Do you want to fight with Auntie? The Shao family is willing to let a good-for-nothing like you return to the family. You should be grateful. I don't believe that you have the courage to fight with the Shao family. Why should she be afraid of a good-for-nothing? Anyone who insults her will die. Yun Zhao's thin lips parted and his cold expression was filled with a cold murderous intent. Ling Yao burst into laughter. Her smile was filled with disdain and mockery. Ha ha ha, Yun Zhao, you say that you want me dead? That depends on whether a good-for-nothing like you has the ability to do so. In the Shao family, Shao Yu Qing is the #1 genius. You can't compare to him at all. She held her head high proudly and did not see the man and woman in front of her as a threat. Wei Lianqing shook his head helplessly and simply shut his mouth. He did not say anything else. After all, the Shao and Ling families were digging their own graves. It was enough for him to watch the show from the sidelines. Yun Luofeng, let me tell you, the poison you've given me is no longer effective. Auntie has found Dr. Tianya for me. By then, will you be able to threaten me? Looking at Ling Yao's smug expression, Yun Luofeng finally understood why she had the courage to rush out today. It was because she had fallen into Lin Yu's trap. At the thought of this, she turned to look at Lin Yu with her star-like black eyes. Her gaze seemed to have seen through everything that Lin Yu had done. Just as Ling Yao finished speaking, a muffled sound rang out from within her body. Then, her body flew out and she spat out a mouthful of blood. Her delicate little face was as white as a sheet. Who hurt me in the dark? Ling Yao gritted her teeth as a trace of fear appeared on her pale face. Shortly after, the spiritual energy in her body went berserk, continuously crashing against her body. Those who humiliated her would die. Suddenly, Ling Yao thought of the man's cold voice, and her body suddenly trembled. Impossible. It couldn't be him. This guy was just a piece of trash? How could he control the spiritual power in her body? Someone must be helping them in the dark. Wei Lianqing. How dare you hurt me? Ling Yao turned to Wei Lianqing and roared angrily. It must be him. Apart from this old man, no one else had such strength. Wei Lianqing, you actually injured a junior. Do you still want your face? Xiao Lin had long been displeased with Wei Lianqing. Now that he finally had a handle on him, how could he not make use of it? Therefore, his expression was cold as he stared at Wei Lianqing. Seeing that his own granddaughter was injured, Ling Feng couldn't help but frown. He coldly said, Wei Lianqing, you attacked a junior. How can you be the leader of the three families? I knew you were shameless, but I didn't think you would be this shameless. Chapter 408. Wei Lianqing only snorted coldly in response to these people's cold mockery. Maybe the others did not notice, but he saw Yun Zhao's aura turn sharp in that moment. He didn't need to think to know that Yun Xiao had caused Ling Yao's spirit energy to go berserk. It seemed that this trash of the Xiao family was not simple. It was laughable that the Xiao family did not realize and mistook such a treasure for dust. Wei Lianqing, I called you here today to let you witness this precious moment of the Xiao family. I hadn't expected you to act against my daughter-in-law. Do you not have anything to say? Xiao Lin grew even angrier, his gaze like sharp swords shooting towards Wei Lianqing. Wei Lianqing sneered. I only want to say one thing. The Xiao family is completely blind. There is someone even more outstanding than Xiao Yuqing that you did not realize. Yun Xiao was able to act against Ling Yao in front of so many people without being discovered. It could be imagined just how strong he was. If not for his senses being more sensitive than others and feeling the change in the man's aura, he would not have thought that this trash who had been exiled from the Xiao family would hide so deeply. Wei family patriarch, what do you mean? Lin Yu frowned and said in displeasure. What do you mean more outstanding than my Yuqing? In this spirit realm, no one can compare to my Yuqing. Wei Lianqing glanced coldly at Lin Yu. Are you sure no one can compare to Xiao Yuqing? Disregarding the geniuses that your Xiao family missed out on, just the daughter of the Lord of Spirit God Mountain is a rare genius. Haha. Lin Yu laughed mockingly. You said she is a daughter and cannot inherit the family. So what if she is a genius? She is not like my Yuqing. Not only is she talented, she can continue the family. Who can compare? Spirit God Mountain was mysterious and powerful, but they had all heard that the Lord of Spirit God Mountain only had one daughter and no sons. Wasn't this the same as having no descendants? No matter how talented that girl was, she was someone else's daughter-in-law. Lin Yu did not notice that when she said this, Lin Ruobai was so angry his forehead was smoking and his body was trembling. So what if I have a daughter? My father only has one daughter. Why can't I inherit the family? Our daughters are not inferior to men. At this moment, the violent spirit energy in Ling Yao's body still hadn't stopped. She was rolling on the ground in pain, but no one paid attention to her, including her grandfather. Their minds were filled with the thought of using this matter to make Wei Lianqing lose his position. Yun Xiao stood at the side and watched coldly without any pity. To him, he only needed to take pity on Yun Luofeng. Even if the others were crushed to pieces, it had nothing to do with him. Little girl, you are too insensible. No matter how much your father dotes on you, you are still a girl. Sooner or later, you will have to give birth to someone else's child. How can you give away the huge family business to an outsider? That's why your father would rather give all his assets to me than to an outsider like you. In Lin Yu's mind, her daughter was an outsider. It was her fault for not being able to carry on the family line. Even their nephews would be closer to them because their nephews followed their surnames. Fortunately, Lin Yu gave birth to a son, so she didn't have to worry about that. Wei Lianqing shook his head once more. If it had been someone a bit smarter, they would definitely have connected Lin Ruobai's words to the Spirit God Mountain. Chapter 409. Unfortunately, Lin Yu was too conceited. She did not think that Yun Xiao would be able to form a relationship with the Spirit God Mountain, so she did not connect Lin Ruobai to the Spirit God Mountain. Lin Ruobai's expression became even more furious. She clenched her little fists tightly and kicked Ling Yao, who was rolling around in front of her, aside. She then placed her hands on her hips and walked towards Lin Yu. I dare you to say that again. Who are you calling an outsider? You don't love your daughter but your nephew? My father isn't that stupid. If you dare to say something like that again, I'll strangle you to death. Boom. Just as Lin Ruobai finished speaking, a sharp aura surged towards them like a gust of wind. It happened in the blink of an eye. Yun Luofeng had already appeared in front of Lin Ruobai in a flash. He held Lin Ruobai tightly in his arms as he faced Xiao Chen's sudden attack head-on. Bang! The two palms collided and Xiao Chen's body flew out of the way, crashing into the crowd. Those who were unaware of Yun Luofeng's power were shocked. They stared in astonishment at the young girl's peerlessly beautiful features. Her white robes fluttered in the gentle breeze. Yun Luofeng lowered his head to look at Lin Ruobai in his arms and frowned. "Are you hurt?" Lin Ruobai shook her head in a daze. Her large bright eyes stared at the young girl in snow-white robes before her as she stupidly replied, "Master, if I were a man, I would definitely marry you." Whoosh! Just as Lin Ruobai had spoken, a gust of cold air assaulted her from behind. It was so cold that her entire body shivered. How could I have forgotten that Grand Master is still behind me? I'm finished this time. She had actually said such things in front of her master. Lin Ruobai was so frightened that she curled up in Yun Luofeng's arms, trying to find a sense of security. However, before she could find any safety, an arm reached out from the side and pulled Yun Luofeng away. "Yun Xiao." Yun Luofeng turned to look at the man's cold features and suddenly chuckled. "Are you jealous?" This fellow was truly a vinegar jar. He was even jealous of a woman. The man glanced at her. Yun Luofeng did not know if it was an illusion, but his grim eyes seemed to contain a sense of grievance. "She said she wanted to marry you. He would not allow anyone to marry her, be it man or woman." "But she's not a man, she can't marry me." Yun Luofeng's eyes were full of smiles. "Moreover, I already have you." Hearing this, Yun Zhao's brows relaxed. After thinking for a while, he still said a little worriedly, "Don't forget, you have to be responsible for me." Responsibility? These two words caused the corners of Yun Luofeng's mouth to twitch violently. And from her expression, Yun Xiao could tell that she was unwilling to take responsibility. Instantly, her entire being tensed up. "We've already slept together. You can't go back on your word." Yun Luofeng was speechless. They had indeed shared the same bed, but nothing had happened between them. However, Yun Zhao's words made it seem as if they had done everything. As for her, in the words of the old man, she had pulled up her pants and refused to acknowledge anyone. Among the crowd, Xiao Yuqing, who had not said a word since the beginning, involuntarily looked at the other two after hearing Yun Zhao's words. His brows furrowed slightly and his clear and cold gaze contained a strange light that no one could detect. At this moment, Xiao Chen crawled to his feet and coughed out a mouthful of blood. His handsome features were deathly pale. "Father, this woman is too audacious, we." Chapter 410. Pa! Xiao Lin slapped Xiao Chen's face. His face was ashen as he roared angrily. "Have you forgotten what I told you before?" Xiao Chen's eyes were filled with hatred as he held his swollen face. He had indeed forgotten. He could not afford to offend this piece of trash before the arcane territory opened. Ling Yao and Lin Yu had ridiculed him previously, but he actually wanted to hurt them. If Yun Xiao stopped opening the mystic realm out of anger, Yu Qing would not be able to increase her strength. Thinking of this, Xiao Chen took a deep breath. He suppressed the anger in his heart and said in a low voice, "I understand." Xiao Lin snorted coldly, turned to look at Yun Xiao, and said indifferently, "It's about time. You and the other Xiao family disciples go to the side and let out your blood. Use your blood to open the secret realm." Yun Xiao stood there without moving. Her paralyzed face was as expressionless as ever. Xiao Lin's expression was somewhat unhappy. "Don't worry, just a few drops of your blood will be enough. It won't harm your body. As a disciple of my Xiao clan, it's fine if your strength is crippled, but I didn't expect you to be so cowardly. A few drops of blood is enough to scare you to this extent." Lin Ruobai couldn't help but roll his eyes. How did this old man know that Grandmaster was frightened? Her Grandmaster was clearly unwilling to help the Xiao family. Seeing that Yun Xiao was still standing there without moving, Xiao Lin's heart surged with rage. "I've satisfied you with everything you wanted these past few days. What else do you want? If it wasn't for you opening the secret territory, the Xiao family wouldn't have let you come back." Yun Xiao coldly looked at Xiao Lin. "I did not return to the Xiao clan to help Xiao Yuqing. Then why did you do it?" "For annihilation." Yun Luofeng had promised him that once he had dealt with the Xiao family, she would strip naked for him to see. Hence, he had chosen to return to the Xiao family in order to take off her clothes. "What did you say?" Xiao Lin's eyes flashed with anger. "If you have the guts, say it again." "Extermination?" Only this trash could say it. Yun Xiao obediently repeated, "Clan extermination." Boom. A wave of hostility emanated from Xiao Lin's body. He didn't think that this stinking brat would actually have the guts to repeat these two words. Good. Very good. It seemed like he had indulged him too much during this period of time, causing him to be so lawless. A piece of trash like you dares to say that you want to destroy my Xiao family? Who gave you such courage? Is it the woman beside you? Xiao Lin coldly smiled as he glanced at Yun Luofeng. This woman's talent is indeed not bad. Unfortunately, she is only an earth spirit. An earth spirit is not enough for me to fear. At that time, if not for the fact that I wanted you to obediently help me open the secret realm, I would not have allowed her to do as she pleased in the Xiao family. The space between Yun Zhao's brows was cold and her black eyes were calm without the slightest ripple, as if she was not the one who had just said the word clan extermination. Originally, I wanted to wait until the arcane realm opened before exterminating her clan, but you humiliated her. In other words, because these people had humiliated Yun Luofeng, he could not wait any longer. Stinking brat. I'll kill you first. Xiao Lin was so angry that he lost his mind. His figure flashed and he charged towards Yun Xiao. His eyes were filled with rage and an insufferably arrogant murderous aura. However, just as Xiao Lin was about to reach Yun Xiao, a green figure quickly flew over from the void in the distance and met Xiao Lin's attack. Chapter 4:11. Then, a mocking voice rang out and fell into everyone's ears. There's no need for my master to take action against someone like you, lest you taint my master's hands. Lin Qiong's palm collided with Xiao Lin's fist, forcing him to take a few steps back. A smile finally appeared on his handsome face. It had not been easy for him to be released from that place by his master. He had to perform well and not disappoint his master. Who are you? Xiao Lin's expression darkened and he took a few steps back. He looked at Lin Qiong with a serious expression. I, your grandfather, am a man of my word. Lin Qiong raised his head arrogantly and looked at Xiao Lin disdainfully. I am master's most capable subordinate, Lin Qiong. Lin Qiong? Yun Luofeng raised his eyebrows and turned to Yun Xiao. Is she the Lin Qiong who gave you the erotic pictures? Lin Qiong, who had been full of arrogance, froze when he heard Yun Luofeng's words. He had only given master an erotic picture, and master had punished him in a fit of anger. He did not expect mistress to remember this. Lin Qiong looked at Yun Luofeng guiltily. He was afraid that the young girl would get even with him for what had happened in the past. Yun Xiao nodded in response to Yun Luofeng's question. Yun Luofeng smiled when he heard this. His half-smiling eyes gradually fell on Lin Qiong. The erotic picture you gave me was not bad. Yun Luofeng was telling the truth. It was because of that erotic picture that Yun Xiao had been enlightened so quickly. However, when Lin Qiong heard her words, she thought that Yun Luofeng was blaming her for what had happened in the past. Lin Qiong immediately felt like crying. Mistress, I didn't do it on purpose. Master has already punished me. If mistress still hasn't forgiven me, I'll let mistress scold me. Yun Luofeng curled the corners of his lips. That depends on your performance now. Depends on my performance now? Lin Qiong's eyes lit up and he glanced coldly at Xiao Lin. A cruel smile appeared on his handsome face. Does mistress mean that if I perform well here, she will forgive me for what I did in the past? At this moment, the back mountain of the Xiao clan was completely silent. Everyone fixed their eyes on Lin Qiong and Yun Xiao, trying to guess the relationship between them. No one dared to think of the two of them in the other direction. After all, in the eyes of the world, Yun Xiao was just a good-for-nothing. How could he have such a powerful subordinate? Even if this subordinate called him master, they were still deceiving themselves and thinking that they had heard wrongly. Xiao Lin's old face turned livid as he stared at Lin Qiong. You said that this trash is your master? His words had voiced the doubts in everyone's hearts. That was because everyone saw that the man named Lin Qiong had stepped through the air toward them. Only a heavenly spirit realm expert had the strength to step through the void. Even though the Xiao family had over 10 heavenly spirit practitioners, Yun Xiao was merely a good-for-nothing. What right did he have to order the heavenly spirit practitioners to do things for him? What trash! How dare you say that my master is a good-for-nothing? Lin Qiong glared at him. If my master was a good-for-nothing, how could the world call him the Ghost Emperor? How dare you humiliate my master? Boom! It was as if a bolt of lightning had struck down from a clear sky, causing everyone present to feel dizzy. The Ghost Emperor? Was he the Ghost Emperor who had suddenly risen to prominence in recent years? Chapter 4:12. It was said that the Ghost Emperor was very mysterious. No one had seen his face or knew his age. They only knew that he was cruel and ruthless. Many people guessed that the Ghost Emperor must be extremely ugly. Otherwise, he would not have shown up in public with a mask. However, to everyone's surprise, the famous Ghost Emperor on the mainland turned out to be the good-for-nothing from the Xiao family. Xiao Lin's face turned from green to white and then from white to green. His old body trembled in the breeze. He subconsciously forced himself to deny Lin Yu's words. How could a good-for-nothing have anything to do with the Ghost Emperor? It was impossible. Before Xiao Lin could deny it, Lin Yu could not help but burst into laughter. Father, do you really believe these people's nonsense? How could this good-for-nothing be the Ghost Emperor? He has no strength at all, and it's impossible for him to subdue a celestial spirit master as his subordinate. I think there must be some shady deal between them. Anyway, I heard that many men in the secular world are attracted to men. This good-for-nothing is good-looking. He must have used his to make the celestial spirit master lie for him so that you will regret it. She glanced at Yun Xiao disdainfully. Her eyes seemed to be telling Yun Xiao that she had already seen through everything. Lin Qiong was dumbfounded. He widened his eyes and looked at the self-righteous Lin Yu in surprise. He really did not know where this woman got the courage to slander his master with this kind of thing. Was there something wrong with her head? Xiao Yuqing had not recovered from the shock just now. When he heard his mother's words, he turned his head in surprise. There was a trace of doubt in his cold eyes. He knew that his mother did not like Yun Xiao. Even he did not like this man, let alone his mother. However, he did not expect that his mother would say such words in public. This was not in line with her usual character, so he could not help but doubt her. Lin Yu was obviously mad with anger. She definitely could not let the Xiao family believe this man's nonsense. Otherwise, she would lose her position in the Xiao family in the future. It was because of this mentality that she stood up and said such self-righteous words. Lin Qiong. Lin Qiong was thinking about how to torture this woman. Suddenly, a cold, knife-like voice came from behind. This voice made him tremble all over. He answered with a trembling voice. Master, you are wasting too much time. The man's deep voice was filled with dissatisfaction, which made Lin Qiong's back break out in a cold sweat and her whole body tremble. Master, please give me another chance. I will handle this matter properly. Lin Qiong bit her lips and said, Get out of my way. The man's tone left no room for doubt. Lin Qiong was so scared that she hurriedly made way for him. 10 years ago. Yun Zhao's grim gaze fell upon Lin Yu as he spoke expressionlessly. You threw me into the forest of no return. Lin Yu shuddered. You're talking nonsense. She absolutely could not let anyone know about this. However, Yun Xiao didn't seem to hear her words and continued to speak. 10 years later, you humiliated my woman. Although Lin Yu didn't jump out to insult Yun Luofeng, she used Ling Yao's mouth to say everything she wanted to say. Just based on this point alone, Yun Xiao would never forgive her. No matter how you insult me, I can ignore you. However, I won't allow anyone to bully her. Chapter 4:13. Yun Xiao slowly walked towards Lin Yu as a sharp glint flashed across his grim eyes. Stop! Xiao Yuqing panicked and hurriedly stood in front of Lin Yu. Her clear and cold eyes stared icily at Yun Xiao, who was walking towards them. Logically speaking, I should call you elder brother, but I think that you don't want me to call you that, so I won't be so despicable. However, the one who humiliated me was Ling Yao, not my mother. The person you should be dealing with is her. No matter how much he doubted Lin Yu, she was still his mother and he would never allow anyone to hurt his mother. Furthermore, Ling Yao was indeed the one who humiliated Yun Luofeng. His mother was innocent. Scram! Yun Xiao shouted coldly as he spoke with a cold expression. Xiao Yuqing's gaze was as cold as ever. I won't allow you to hurt my mother. Joy flashed across Lin Yu's eyes when she saw the figure in front of her. Yuqing, this good-for-nothing wants to hurt me. Kill him now and let him see the difference between a genius from the Xiao family and a good-for-nothing like him. A good-for-nothing. Her own son could kill him with a single slap. She wondered what kind of ability he had to be so insolent here. Get lost. Yun Zhao's voice was deep and low. At the same time as he said that, his palm wind also shot out. Smack! The palm landed on Xiao Yuqing's chest. Xiao Yuqing's pupils instantly shrank and his entire body flew out like a rocket. With a bang, he smashed into an ancient tree. Then, the ancient tree collapsed with a loud bang and smashed into his body. Xiao Yuqing spat out a mouthful of blood and his handsome face turned pale. He wanted to push the ancient tree that was crushing him, but the ancient tree was like a huge mountain that prevented him from moving. Everyone's expressions froze. The most obvious was the group from the Xiao family. They looked dazed and clearly did not know what had happened. Ha ha ha! Wei Lianqing was the first to react. He burst into laughter and his smile was filled with delight. What a good-for-nothing from the Xiao family. I really don't know where you get your confidence from to think that Xiao Yuqing is more outstanding than him. In the end, Xiao Yuqing couldn't even resist a single palm from him. Ha ha ha, I'm so amused. His expression was full of schadenfreude. He was probably rejoicing that he came to the Xiao clan today. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to see such a good show. Xiao Lin and Xiao Chen's faces were filled with astonishment. They had never thought that this guy was no longer trash. Moreover, he was stronger than Xiao Yuqing? Was he really the famous Ghost Emperor? As members of the three great families of Spirit Realm, they definitely knew the Ghost Emperor better than Gao Ling and the others. After all, after the Ghost Emperor became famous, they had sent experts from their clan to investigate the situation, but none of them returned. From this, it could be seen just how powerful the Ghost Emperor was. Even among his subordinates, there were quite a few mid-level heavenly spirit beings. One had to know that the family heads of the Xiao and Ling families were only mid-level heavenly spirit beings. Compared to the astonishment of the Xiao family's father and son, Lin Yu's expression was distorted, and her eyes were filled with malevolence. Yu Qing was the most outstanding one. What did this trash count as? She would not allow anyone in Spirit Realm to surpass Yu Qing, especially this trash. Brat, you think you can do whatever you want just because you're the Ghost Emperor? Don't forget, you're also a member of the Xiao family. Your soul jade token is in the hands of the Xiao family. If the Xiao family wants you dead, you must die. Chapter 414. Soul Jade Plate? Lin Yu's words reminded Xiao Lin of something. His gaze shifted a few times and his tone was no longer as sharp as before. Instead, he spoke in a gentle tone. Little Xiao, the Xiao clan had some misunderstandings with you in the past. Now, I want you to join the Xiao clan. Are you willing to do so? Hearing Xiao Lin's shameless words, Wei Lianqing let out a cold laugh, but his heart was filled with worry. He also knew about the Xiao family's affairs. Every single member of the Xiao family would have a soul jade tablet made after they were born. This was to allow the Xiao family patriarch to conveniently control the entire family. If Yun Zhao's soul jade tablet were to fall into the hands of the Xiao family, he would probably be led by the nose by the Xiao family in the future. What a pity, such an outstanding man. Wei Lianqing shook his head, his face filled with helplessness. Now, he could only hurry and get the little ancestor's father to come over. Only his arrival would be able to help Yun Xiao. Yun Xiao remained unmoved in the face of Xiao Lin's words as he stood tall and upright under the gentle breeze. His face was as cold as ever and his black eyes were calm without a ripple of emotion. Xiao, as long as you return to the Xiao clan, I'll let you replace Xiao Yuqing's position and let you be the Xiao clan master, said Xiao Lin with a warm smile on his face. Xiao Chen hurriedly nodded. That's right. As long as you return to the Xiao clan, you'll be my only son. You will also be the one to marry into the Ling family. As for the woman beside you, if you really like her, I can forgive her mistakes and allow you to take her as a concubine. In Xiao Chen's opinion, it was normal for men to have multiple wives and concubines. He could see that Yun Xiao liked Yun Luofeng, but to a man, as long as the woman he liked was by his side, did it matter whether she was a concubine or a wife? In any case, the Xiao family could only be connected by marriage with the Ling family. No man would reject the chance to hug a woman in both arms. The Ling family's patriarch, Ling Feng, was also moved. If the Ghost Emperor became his grandson-in-law, it would obviously be much better than Xiao Yuqing. It would be a great honor to say it out loud. Moreover, the Ghost Emperor was so talented. How could Xiao Yuqing compare? Upon hearing the Xiao father and son duo's words, Lin Yu's heart instantly turned cold. If the soul jade tablet was still in her hands, she would definitely be able to deal with Yun Xiao. Unfortunately, the jade token had already been stolen by that damned little bastard. But Yuan Shao definitely didn't know about that little bastard stealing the jade tablet. She mentioned the soul jade tablet was merely to threaten him. Thinking of this, Lin Yu gradually calmed down. Shower. Seeing that Yuan Shao was still expressionless, Xiao Lin took a step forward, his eyes filled with warmth. It's been hard on you all these years. Don't worry, if you return to the Xiao family, I will open up the secret plane for you to cultivate in. Furthermore, I can get your father to fulfill his promise. Ling Feng nodded his head in agreement. Xiao family head, the matter of the engagement is imminent, let's just let the two of them settle the marriage today. No, their marriage has long existed. As long as the words you said before don't count, it's fine. Ha ha ha, then our two families will really be in-laws from now on. The two of them laughed loudly, and they did not ask for Yuan Zhao's opinion. From Xiao Lin's point of view, Yuan Zhao's soul token was still in the hands of the Xiao family. What objection would he dare to have? Wouldn't he still have to listen obediently? Just as they were about to discuss the marriage, the man's cold and deep voice slowly rang out. I've said it before, I came to the Xiao family to exterminate them. The position of Xiao family head? He didn't care. Chapter 4:15. Xiao Lin's expression froze. He turned to look at Yuan Shao in disbelief. Xiao, have you been bewitched by this woman? You still dare to speak like this? Have you forgotten that your soul jade tablet is still in the hands of the Xiao family? After saying that, his tone softened. Moreover, I'm not trying to separate you. Didn't I agree to let her be your concubine? Isn't this the best of both worlds? Xiao Ling Feng chimed in. My Yao is kind and won't do things like being jealous. So, you're lucky to marry a woman like my Yao who isn't jealous. With a beautiful wife and concubine by your side. Isn't that great? Yuan Zhao's gaze gradually shifted to Ling Yao who was on the ground. At that moment, the spiritual energy in Ling Yao's body was no longer colliding, but her heart was still gripped tightly. This good-for-nothing is actually a ghost emperor? I was blind to have given up on such a genius? Fortunately, the Xiao family had something on him. No matter what, he must marry me. Ling Yao blushed at the thought of this. Then, she saw Yuan Zhao's gaze and her face turned even redder. She looked at him shyly and timidly. Brother Xiao, I've wrongly treated you as a good-for-nothing. We're husband and wife now. I hope you won't remember my mistakes. Yuan Shao slowly raised his hand. Ling Yao's heart beat wildly when she saw his actions. Does he want to touch my face? Should I play hard to get or should I just obey him? However, before Ling Yao could come up with a decision, a sharp spiritual energy was produced in the man's palm. It turned into a strong force and hit Ling Yao's chest with a loud bang. Ah! Ling Yao screamed shrilly. Her heart-wrenching voice spread throughout the Xiao family's back mountain. Shower! Xiao Lin was furious and shouted angrily. What are you trying to do? Yuan Zhao's face was cold and expressionless. She has already become a good-for-nothing. She's not worthy of me. Don't you want me to marry Ling Yao? Then I'll make her a good-for-nothing and never see the light of day. Yao. Hearing this, Ling Feng turned pale with fright and hurriedly ran to Ling Yao's side. After checking the condition of her body, he glared daggers at Yuan Shao. Bastard, you actually dare to ruthlessly cripple Yao. This matter, your Yuan family must give me an explanation. He was so angry not because his heart ached for Ling Yao, but because in a power like the Ling family, there was no such thing as familial love, only exploitation. Although Ling Yao's personality was unruly, she was quite talented. But now, she had become a piece of trash. How could he not be angry? Don't worry, Patriarch Ling. I'll give you an explanation for this. Xiao Lin took a deep breath and pulled out a jade tablet from his sleeve. He smiled coldly and said, I already knew that you wouldn't be content with your lot. Luckily, I've made ample preparations. Now, I'll ask you one question. Are you willing to listen to me or not? Yuan Shao said coldly. In this life, I will only have one woman, and she is Yuan Luofeng. Impudent. Xiao Lin's face was filled with rage. It's normal for a man to have 3 wives and 4 concubines. If this woman had not done so much in the Xiao family, perhaps I would have let you marry her. Unfortunately, she has incurred the wrath of the public. Letting you take her as a concubine is already an act of mercy. You don't know what's good for you. Even if Ling Yao has become a good-for-nothing now, You must marry another woman from the Ling family. Chapter 4:16. Yun Xiao glanced at Xiao Lin coldly. Then I'll kill them. His tone was filled with coldness, as if those people were merely ants and not living beings. Good, very good. Yun Xiao, you really don't want to live anymore. Since that's the case, I'll send you to hell. Xiao Lin was so angry that he laughed sinisterly and placed his palm on the jade tablet. There was a clatter. The jade tablet broke into 2 pieces in his hand. Yun Xiao, this is what happens to you for being disobedient. The Xiao family doesn't need disobedient people. Xiao Lin looked at Yun Xiao with a cold smile. He was completely stunned when he saw it. The man stood under the gentle breeze with his black robes fluttering. He looked cold and handsome. His eyes were still calm and emotionless as he looked at Xiao Lin. Impossible. How is this possible? Xiao Lin shivered. Why are you still alive when the jade tablet is broken? Just as Xiao Lin finished speaking, Yun Luofeng, who had been watching the show from the side, finally spoke up slowly. You should ask your good son about this. Hearing this, Xiao Lin immediately turned to look at Xiao Chen. His eyes were filled with anger. Tell me what's going on? His tone was filled with irrepressible anger. Only now did Xiao Chen remember what he had done a few days ago. He was so frightened that he trembled a little. Father, I gave this jade tablet to Lin Yu to curry favor with her. Phew, even though Xiao Lin was still angry, he heaved a sigh of relief when he heard Xiao Chen's words. He turned to look at Lin Yu and asked, Where's the jade tablet? Take it out. Lin Yu opened her mouth and a trace of fear flashed across her beautiful face. Lin Yu, return the jade tablet to father, Xiao Chen frowned. Don't you want him dead? You can do as you wish now. As long as you hand over the jade tablet, his soul will immediately return here. The jade tablet. Lin Yu said guiltily, the jade tablet is in my room. If that's the case, I'll send someone to get it now. As long as the jade tablet was still there, it didn't matter where it was. To them, the jade tablet was the only thing that could threaten Yun Xiao. Lin Yu's expression froze. While she was trying to figure out a way to solve the problem at hand, a devilish voice rang out slowly. Are you sure the jade pendant is still in your room? Lin Yu frowned and looked at Yun Luofeng with displeasure. At this moment, a milky white hamster appeared in front of her. The little hamster lay on the back of Yun Luofeng's hand. It rubbed its claws and looked at Lin Yu. The little hamster's eyes seemed to be mocking Lin Yu for being a fool. Little bastard. So this is where you are. Lin Yu looked at the milk tea on the back of Yun Luofeng's hand, and her face instantly became ferocious. No wonder. No wonder you dare to disobey the orders of the Xiao clan. It turns out that the little bastard in your hand has stolen my jade tablet. She would recognize this little hamster even if it turned into ashes. When she thought about how the little hamster had snatched her jade token, the hatred in her heart intensified, and she wished she could tear it into pieces. What did you just say? Xiao Chen heard Lin Yu's words and grabbed her by the collar. The veins on his forehead were throbbing. You said that the jade tablet has been stolen? That's right. Lin Yu saw that she couldn't continue lying, so she simply admitted it. The jade tablet has been stolen. Chapter 4:17. Boom. Xiao Lin was unable to control himself and his fist landed on Lin Yu's body, causing her body to fly out of the way and crash heavily onto the ground. At this moment, Xiao Lin clenched his fists tightly and cracked them. His elderly face was ashen and the flames of rage that were pouring out of his eyes seemed to be able to burn Lin Yu into ashes in an instant. You slut! You had the audacity to take the jade token and let someone else steal it. Lin Yu closed her eyes and her expression was filled with despair. She then opened her eyes and stared straight at Yun Xiao. Back then, I had thrown you into the forest of no return. Why didn't you die? It would have been great if you had died. Xiao Yuqing had just moved away from the tree that was pinning him when he suddenly heard his mother's words. His body trembled and his handsome face instantly turned pale. Yun Luofeng's words were actually true. Mother has really done something to harm the Xiao family's bloodline. Xiao Yuqing slowly closed his eyes. Every time he thought about how he had once defended his mother, he felt that it was all a joke. Reality has truly given him a fierce slap on the face. It was extremely painful. Mother, you said that his mother had kidnapped a servant girl to threaten you in order to obtain father. Is this a lie? Xiao Yuqing opened his eyes and stared icily at Lin Yu who was lying in front of him. His voice was filled with disappointment. This disappointed voice seemed to pierce into Lin Yu's heart, causing it to tremble. That's right, it's a lie. At this moment, she no longer tried to hide her feelings and admitted Xiao Yuqing's words. Boom! Xiao Yuqing's heart trembled and he stumbled back. He held onto a tree next to him and steadied himself. His clear eyes were filled with deep pain. Right at this moment, he saw Xiao Lin's fist descending on Lin Yu again. In his desperation, he didn't have time to think. His body flashed and he rushed in front of Lin Yu, using his own body to block Xiao Lin's attack. Thump! The blow sent Xiao Yuqing flying several meters away. He spat out a mouthful of blood and his internal organs were in agony. He never thought that after finding out the truth, he would still be unable to bear his mother's death. Jade clear. Perhaps Lin Yu had found her conscience and was not as cowardly as she usually was. She hurriedly ran to Xiao Yuqing's side with an anxious look on her face. How are you? Mother, back then, why did you do that? Xiao Yuqing looked at Lin Yu in disappointment. Why did you do so many unforgivable bad things? Bad things? His words irritated Lin Yu. She said angrily, how can you think that I've done something bad? I've done so much for you. Do you want to be an illegitimate child? In order to let you return to the Xiao family, in order to give you the identity of a legitimate son, I did so many things, why do you still blame me? Xiao Yuqing laughed bitterly. If I had known that the position of the first wife's son would be obtained in such a manner, I would rather not have it. I would rather live outside than come to this heartless Xiao clan. Did his mother really do so much for him? No. She was doing this for herself. She yearned for a noble life, yearned for a respectable position, and for this, she did not hesitate to make countless mistakes. He should have known this a long time ago, but he had deceived himself for so many years. Yuqing, from now on, you are all my hope. Lin Yu lowered her eyes and whispered into Xiao Yuqing's ear. Chapter 4:18. Before Xiao Yuqing could react, he saw Lin Yu take out a talisman from her bosom. Then, she suddenly pressed down on Xiao Yuqing's hand and tore the talisman with his own hand. Yuqing, this is a teleportation talisman. It can teleport you to a place thousands of meters away. It's the only treasure I've kept for so many years. Remember, you must avenge me. No. Xiao Yuqing cried out anxiously. Then, his entire body floated in the wind and he soon disappeared from the back of the mountain. Lin Yu's actions were too fast, so fast that no one could react in time. Then, she slowly turned her gaze toward Xiao Chen and the corners of her lips curled into a bitter smile. I gave my youth and my entire life to you, but you have failed to live up to my infatuation. Her eyes were filled with sorrow and she no longer had her usual arrogance. Fortunately, I still have Yuqing. He's all my hope and I won't let him die in the hands of you people. If it had been the Lin Yu of the past, she would definitely choose to live and let Xiao Yuqing die. However, her heart was now filled with hatred. She did not want to drag out an ignoble existence. She only wanted revenge. Based on her talent, even if she left this place, she would never have the chance to take revenge. Therefore, she had left her hope of survival to Xiao Yuqing so that he could avenge her in the future. Yun Xiao stared at the direction in which Xiao Yuqing had left and frowned slightly. He then gave Lin Qiong, who was next to him, a look. Lin Qiong understood what he was trying to convey and hurriedly flew into the distance. Soon, she disappeared from the crowd's sight. After Lin Qiong had left, Yun Xiao withdrew his gaze and stared coldly at Lin Yu. A murderous intent gradually spread from his body and shrouded the entire back of the mountain. Hee. Lin Yu sensed Yun Xiao's murderous intent and laughed coldly. Even if I die in your hands, my son will definitely avenge me. When that time comes, you'll definitely accompany me in hell. Ha ha ha. Her smile was ferocious and her eyes were filled with viciousness. Hatred. How could she not feel hatred? No one could surpass his son, especially this trash. Wei Lianqing couldn't stand it anymore. He stood up and said mockingly, Lin Yu, I just want to say one thing. Your son isn't as good as Yun Xiao now, and he won't be as good as him in the future. Don't place too much hope on him. Humph. I don't believe that my son is so outstanding. For this trash to become so powerful, he must have obtained some sort of fortuitous encounter. So, I've already sent Yun Xiao out just now. Moreover, the place she was sent to is still the forest of no return. Wei Lianqing shook his head. This woman is crazy. Previously, She had thrown Yun Xiao into the forest of no return. Now, she had thrown her own son into the forest of no return. Only a crazy woman would do such a thing. Kill me if you want. Anyway, my jade clear will avenge me. Lin Yu lifted her chin and sneered at the people in front of her. Do you want to die? Yun Luofeng's lips curled up. I'm afraid it won't be that easy. Haven't you heard of the phrase, a life worse than death? She would never forget how much harm this woman had caused to Yun Xiao. This alone was enough for her to die 1,000,000 times over. Chapter 419. Lin Yu's body trembled. She stared at Yun Luofeng, who was closing in on her step by step, and fear finally appeared on her face. What are you trying to do? She took 2 steps back and bit her lip. Her face was pale. At that moment, she finally felt fear. I'll let you experience what it's like to wish you were dead. Yun Luofeng smiled evilly and took 2 steps towards Lin Yu with a faint smile on his lips. I wonder if you'd like to try the body-tearing, bone-shattering pill. Lin Yu was stunned and fear filled her eyes. Before she could say anything, a black pill shot out from the young girl's fingertip and into her mouth. Gulp. Lin Yu accidentally swallowed the black pill. She hurriedly clutched her throat and ran to the side to retch. However, the black pill melted in her mouth and quickly entered her body. Yun Luofeng. Ling Yao laughed icily when she saw this. You're making a big mistake if you think you can use this body-tearing, bone-shattering pill to restrain us. Don't you know that she has already contacted Miracle Dr. Tianya? With Tianya here, your body-tearing, bone-shattering pill will be useless no matter how powerful it is. In the past, Ling Yao would have addressed Lin Yu as aunt. However now, she had clearly used a disrespectful form of address. After all, Xiao Yuqing's talent was not as good as Yun Xiao's. Now, her heart was already biased towards Yun Xiao. Even if she was a good-for-nothing. When she thought of what Yun Xiao had done to her earlier, her heart clenched in pain. However, she still believed that the reason why Yun Xiao had treated her this way was because of Yun Luofeng. If Yun Luofeng had died, perhaps she would have been able to take advantage of his weakness. As for her crippled Dantian, didn't Lin Yu say that she had already contacted Miracle Dr. Tianya? She did not believe that there was an illness in this world that a miracle doctor could not cure. Yun Xiao stared coldly at Ling Yao, the murderous intent in his eyes growing thicker and thicker. Just as he looked at Ling Yao, the spiritual energy in her body went berserk once again, causing her so much pain that she could no longer say a single word. Won't you know if there's anyone who can cure my body-tearing, bone-shattering pill? Yun Luofeng slowly walked towards Lin Yu with a sinister smile on his face. All of a sudden, Lin Yu felt pain all over her body. It was as if her bones had been crushed to pieces. She screamed in pain. I've said it before, those who bully Yun Xiao will not simply die. She would only let them suffer a fate worse than death. Looking at Lin Yu's miserable appearance, the father and son of the Xiao clan trembled. It was obvious that they were terrified of Yun Luofeng's methods. The 3 great clans of Four Corner City were conferred by that person from the Spirit God Mountain. Xiao Lin gritted his teeth and said, no matter how strong Xiao is, she can't go against the Spirit God Mountain. If you insist on attacking the Spirit God Mountain, those people from the Spirit God Mountain will certainly not let you go. Wei Lianqing shook his head in exasperation when he saw Xiao Lin mention the Spirit God Mountain. A disdainful smile hung on his elderly face. Could it be that this old man didn't know that Lin Ruobai was the young miss of Spiritual Divine Mountain? How dare he say such words in front of her? If that lord knew about these things, how could he let these people go? Wei Lianqing. Xiao Lin turned towards Wei Lianqing and continued to speak. The 3 great clans are one. Now that foreign enemies are invading, you must join forces with us to fight against them. If this had happened in the past, he would not have paid any attention to Wei Lianqing. Chapter 420. Unfortunately, he had no choice but to board Wei Lianqing's boat. After all, Wei Lianqing was the only one who could contact the Lord of Spirit God Mountain. Hee, Wei Lianqing sneered and his lips curled into a sarcastic smile. Sorry, I don't think I'm one with the Xiao family. The Xiao family must bear the consequences of their mistakes. At this moment, Wei Lianqing had already noticed Lin Ruobai's dissatisfied gaze. He immediately drew a clear line between himself and Xiao Lin, proving his innocence. He didn't want this little ancestor to misunderstand. Xiao Lin's expression changed. He didn't think that Wei Lianqing would be so anxious to cut ties with him. Anger welled up in his chest. Wei Lianqing, I hope you won't regret your actions today. Wei Lianqing smiled. Don't worry, I won't regret your Xiao family. Humph. Xiao Lin scoffed and turned to look at Yun Luofeng. Do you really want to make things difficult for the Xiao family? Aren't you afraid of the people from Spirit God Mountain? Spirit God Mountain? Yun Luofeng instinctively glanced at Lin Ruobai. When she first met Lin Ruobai, it was at the foot of Spirit God Mountain. Therefore, even though the old man didn't tell her about Lin Ruobai's identity, she could imagine her position among the spirit gods. Moreover, she didn't think that Spirit God Mountain would side with the Xiao family for no reason. Yun Xiao. Yun Luofeng pressed down on Yun Zhao's hand as he looked at the Xiao father and son with a smile on his lips. The corners of his lips curled into an arc. Back then, when you chased Yun Xiao out of the family, did you ever think that this would happen today? Xiao Chen's heart trembled. His handsome face was pale and his pleading eyes went past Yun Luofeng to glance at the cold man next to her. Xiao, don't forget, without the Xiao family, there wouldn't be you. Can you really bear to see the Xiao family destroyed? Yun Zhao's gaze slowly landed on Yun Luofeng. His gaze was no longer as gentle as before. Instead, it carried an incomprehensible light. As long as she's happy. He still said the same thing. As long as Yun Luofeng was happy, no matter what she did, he would silently support her from behind. Then, as if recalling something, Yun Xiao added, she promised me that as long as I solved the Xiao family's problem, she would let me take off her clothes. The implication was that he wanted to destroy the Xiao clan, and his goal was to take off Yun Luofeng's dress. Xiao Chen was thoroughly enraged. He glared fixedly at the man's grim features and scolded him angrily. You're treacherous. How dare you treat your grandfather and father in such a manner? You'll die a horrible death. Boom. Just as Xiao Chen finished speaking, a gust of wind from a palm suddenly appeared and pushed him back a few steps. The young girl straightened her dress. Her arrogant eyes were filled with condescension as she coldly looked down on the Xiao family. You don't have the right to humiliate my man. Puchi. Xiao Chen spat out a mouthful of blood. He was so angry that his body was trembling. He wanted nothing more than to tear these people in front of him into pieces. On the contrary, Xiao Lin's eyes revealed a wisp of despair. Because he knew that this time, the Xiao family could be considered to be completely finished. Master! Just as Xiao Lin was sinking into despair, a hurried voice came from outside the door. Shortly after, a servant quickly walked in and clasped his hands together. Reporting to the Patriarch, the people from the Spirit God Mountain have arrived. Chapter 421. Spirit God Mountain? Xiao Lin's despairing expression brightened when he heard those 3 words. The people from Spirit God Mountain are here? If they come, the Xiao family will be saved. Ha ha ha. Wei Lianqing, you colluded with outsiders to harm Spirit Realm. Do you think that the person on Spirit God Mountain will forgive you? Although Xiao Lin was puzzled as to why Spirit God Mountain would come to the Xiao family for no reason, that did not mean that he would not use Spirit God Mountain's power to show off. As long as Spirit God Mountain was in charge, these people would not be able to cause any trouble. When he thought of this, he turned to look at Yun Xiao. His old face was full of smiles. I'll give you one chance. Hand over your soul jade token and return to the Xiao family. Otherwise, you'll regret the decision you've made today. Spirit God Mountain was the strongest faction in Spirit Realm and the symbol of authority. In the hearts of the people of Spirit Realm, Spirit God Mountain was like a god. Invincible. As he spoke, a wave of footsteps came from the foot of Spirit God Mountain and resounded uniformly throughout the back of the mountain. A moment later, Xiao Lin saw a handsome middle-aged man quickly walking up from the foot of the mountain. His robes fluttered even though there was no wind and his aura was shocking. He did not need to think to know that this man's identity was extremely noble. A group of guards followed closely behind the man. These guards were all powerful and their aura was like an unsheathed sword. It was extremely sharp. Lin Jingfeng immediately saw Lin Ruobai who was standing obediently next to Yun Luofeng in the sea of people. His heart slowly relaxed when he saw that his precious daughter was fine. Now, whenever he thought of Wei Lianqing's letter, he would feel anger surge from the bottom of his heart. Lord Jingfeng. Wei Lianqing slowly walked over and a smile appeared on his old face. You've come? Lord Jingfeng? A wisp of surprise appeared on Xiao Lin's face. Could it be that the middle-aged man before him was the supreme existence on Spirit God Mountain that was worshipped by others? My lord! When he thought of this, Xiao Lin immediately returned to his senses. He glared fiercely at Wei Lianqing and said hurriedly, "That old bastard Wei Lianqing has gone too far. He dared to collude with outsiders and plot for power in Spirit Realm. That illegitimate daughter of his is the best evidence of his crime." Wei Lianqing's illegitimate daughter acknowledged an outsider as her master. And now this outsider wanted to harm the Xiao clan. Didn't this indirectly prove that Wei Lianqing was colluding with someone? Lin Jingfeng, who had been about to walk towards his daughter, stopped when he heard Xiao Lin's words. He glanced at Wei Lianqing in surprise and asked, "Lianqing, when did you have an illegitimate daughter? Why didn't I know about this?" Wei Lianqing was also confused. He rubbed his head and asked doubtfully, "Illegitimate daughter? I don't even know where I got my illegitimate daughter from." "Wei Lianqing, you still want to quibble?" Xiao Lin snorted coldly and pointed angrily at Lin Ruobai. "Isn't this little girl your illegitimate daughter? If not for your relationship with her, how could you possibly indulge him like this?" Following the direction Xiao Lin was pointing, Lin Jingfeng's gaze gradually shifted to the cute girl chewing on her fingers. Then, he was completely dumbfounded. Wei Lianqing's gaze was strange. Other than the initial disdain, there was now a hint of sympathy in his gaze. He shook his head helplessly but did not disguise his schadenfreude. Chapter 422. My lord. Xiao Lin did not see Wei Lianqing's strange gaze and continued, "A person like him does not have the right to be the spokesperson of Spirit God Mountain. Only those who are absolutely loyal to Spirit Realm have the right." He was just short of saying that Wei Lianqing did not have the right to be the spokesperson. Only someone as loyal as Xiao Lin had the right. Ha ha! Wei Lianqing laughed coldly. "Xiao Lin, I really don't know if you're really stupid or just pretending to be stupid. I've never seen anyone as stupid as you." This idiot dared to claim that Lin Ruobai was his illegitimate daughter in front of Lin Jingfeng. Wasn't he just seeking death? Lin Jingfeng's expression was terrifyingly gloomy. His eyes seemed to be surging with an intense storm. He glared coldly at Xiao Lin with his sharp sword-like eyes, but in the end, he did not say anything and walked towards Lin Ruobai. "Wei Lianqing." When Lin Jingfeng reached the girl, he paused and called out in a low and hoarse voice. Xiao Lin looked smugly at Wei Lianqing. This old thing dared to help these people make things difficult for the Xiao family. Now that the people of Spirit God Mountain had come, he was dead for sure. However, Lin Jingfeng's next words caused Xiao Lin's old face to freeze. He was so shocked that he could not speak. The man's voice deepened and floated over like a cold knife. "Watch him, don't let him escape." Xiao Lin's expression was blank. He did not understand what Lin Jingfeng meant. Logically speaking, shouldn't he be furious and kill these foreign enemies and the traitor Wei Lianqing? But why did he ask Wei Lianqing to watch over him? Lin Jingfeng's actions quickly answered Xiao Lin's questions. When he arrived in front of Lin Ruobai, his stern gaze gradually softened. A gentle smile hung on his handsome face as he said in a gentle voice, "Xiao Bai, why didn't you throw yourself into my arms like you usually do when you see me this time?" The man's voice immediately sent Xiao Lin into hell. His heart turned cold and his body broke out in cold sweat. He seemed to have heard Lin Jingfeng say the words father to that young girl. Could that girl be Lin Jingfeng's daughter? As soon as he thought of this possibility, Xiao Lin's face immediately turned pale. Wei Lianqing indulged this girl not because she was his illegitimate daughter, but because she was the young miss of Spirit Divine Mountain? It was laughable that he had always thought that Lin Ruobai was Wei Lianqing's illegitimate daughter, and had even said it in front of the girl's father. "Father." Lin Ruobai looked at Lin Jingfeng, who was walking towards him. His bright eyes were filled with grievance. "It's not that you don't love me." Lin Jingfeng didn't understand why his precious daughter would say such a thing. He couldn't help but be stunned, and then he saw the aggrieved expression on her face. The gentleness between his brows deepened. "Xiao Bai, you're Daddy's only daughter. If Daddy doesn't love you, who will he love?" Lin Ruobai curled her lips and glanced at Lin Yu, whose face had already turned pale. Just now, this auntie said that a daughter can't carry on the family line because her father doesn't like her daughter. Only a person like her son can be regarded as a truly outstanding talent. She also said, "Father, even if you hand over the business to your nephew, you can't hand it over to me. Otherwise, You'll definitely be laughed at by others. Chapter 423. Lin Jingfeng's gentle smile instantly darkened when he heard his daughter's words. His sharp gaze was like a storm as he followed Lin Ruobai's finger and looked at Lin Yu, who was pretending to be dead on the ground. Lin Yu's eyes were tightly shut and her body was trembling uncontrollably. Her pale face was covered in cold sweat and she desperately hoped that Lin Jingfeng would not notice her. Unfortunately, things did not go as she wished. The man's gaze was like a wind blade that cut her skin painfully. It was as if a knife was slicing through her body. Pain and fear filled her heart. I never thought that your Shao family's daughter-in-law would be so bold. She dared to point fingers at the spirit god mountain, and even said that my precious daughter is not worthy of my love. Lin Jingfeng laughed coldly. His laughter was like a cold knife, causing the entire Shao clan to kneel down in fear. Lord Jingfeng. Shao Lin knelt in the cold wind. His old body trembled uncontrollably. I didn't know that this young lady was your daughter. Oh? The corners of Lin Jingfeng's lips curled up coldly. He glanced at Shao Lin sinisterly. You didn't know that Shao Bai was my daughter. How can you be so sure that she is Wei Lianqing's illegitimate daughter? Lin Jingfeng was clearly a distance away from him, but Shao Lin could sense the man's voice right next to his ear. His body trembled even more violently as if he was trying to bury himself in the dust. Get lost! Lin Jingfeng shouted coldly. I will settle the score with you later. With that, he turned to look at Lin Yu on the ground. The corners of his lips curled into an eerie smile. If you continue to pretend to be dead, I will make you regret your actions today. Shao Bai was his precious daughter. Normally, he wouldn't even dare to speak harshly to her. Now, this woman had the audacity to humiliate his precious daughter. She even said that even if he were to hand over the power to his nephew, he would never give it to his own daughter. His words frightened Lin Yu so much that she stopped pretending to be dead. She quickly got up from the ground and knocked her head on the ground with a loud sound. I beg you, let me go. I only want you to let me go, and I'll do anything to repay you in the future. In the beginning, she had used the talisman to send Xiao Yuqing out. At that time, she had indeed made the decision to face death with equanimity. However, who in this world was not afraid of death? Not to mention someone like her who had spent so much effort to climb to her current position. If she could live, she didn't want to die here. Work for me. Lin Jingfeng raised his chin arrogantly and sneered. Are you worthy? The man's words were full of mockery and his eyes were full of arrogance. It was obvious that he did not take Lin Yu, who was like a crazy woman, seriously at all. Indeed, there were too many people who wanted to work like slaves for spiritual God Mountain. What was Lin Yu to him? Bang! Lin Yu took 2 heavy steps back and fell to the ground. All of a sudden she burst out laughing. Did I say anything wrong? So what if your spiritual God Mountain is strong? Wouldn't he still end up with no descendants? Even if someone like you enters hell, you won't be able to face your ancestors. Ha ha ha. Since she was going to die, why didn't she humiliate these people before she died? Furthermore, Lin Yu felt even more carefree when she saw the drastic change in Lin Jingfeng's expression. Chapter 424. In her opinion, she had hit the man's sore spot. After all, there's no one in this world who doesn't want a son. Unfortunately, some people have committed too many sins in their past lives, so they can only end their family line in this lifetime. Lin Yu had not expected Lin Jingfeng's expression to change drastically. It wasn't because of the words "end his family line." In his opinion, his daughter could inherit the family business as well. He had been angered by Lin Yu. It was fine if Lin Yu valued boys over girls, but she had actually dared to say such things to his face. He had never believed that women were inferior to men in any way. He laughed coldly when he thought of this. He raised his hand and grabbed Lin Yu's neck tightly as his face filled with viciousness. You're courting death. Lin Yu slowly closed her eyes as a resolute smile curled on the corners of her lips. That's right. She valued boys over girls. She had not hesitated to strangle her own daughter to death all those years ago. However, no one knew about this, including Xiao Chen. If he found out about this, not only would she lose her position in the Xiao family, even Xiao Yuqing's life would undergo a tremendous change. She would also lose her only support, Xiao Yuqing. Wait! Suddenly, a charming and evil voice rang out from behind Xiao Chen, causing him to slowly loosen his grip on Lin Yu's neck. Everyone watched as the beautiful young woman in white slowly walked towards him. The corners of her lips curled slightly. "Let me deal with this woman first. I still have some things to ask her." "All right." Lin Jingfeng would never refuse any of Yun Luofeng's questions. After all, this young woman was the benefactor who had saved his precious daughter. Moreover, he would not have been able to pull himself together if the young woman had not humiliated him back then. Wei Lianqing glanced at Yun Luofeng curiously when he saw this. He did not know if he was mistaken, but he had a feeling that the relationship between Lin Jingfeng and Yun Luofeng was not as simple as he had imagined. That was because he could sense Lin Jingfeng's respect and gratitude towards the young woman from his words and actions. But how old is this young woman? Why does Lin Jingfeng respect her so much? There must be something he didn't know. Yun Xiao silently stood behind Yun Luofeng, allowing the young girl to do as she pleased. His pair of black eyes followed her figure from beginning to end, unwilling to leave her even for a moment. "Tell me," Yun Luofeng raised his peerless features and stared down at Lin Yu from above. "Where is Yun Zhao's mother?" Lin Yu was stunned for a moment. She rolled her eyes a few times and said, "I don't know." "You don't know?" Yun Luofeng's lips curled up into a smile. He kicked Lin Yu's chest, and with a bang, he sent her flying. "Do you know what I do to people who don't answer me?" "Poochie!" Lin Yu spat out a mouthful of blood. She rubbed her aching chest and glared at Yun Luofeng angrily. "No matter what, I am Xiao Zhao's legal mother. If you marry him, I will be your elder. Aren't you afraid of being punished by heaven?" Yun Luofeng's foot landed heavily on Lin Yu's body. His eyes were filled with arrogance as if he was looking down on the world. "Firstly, he is a member of the Yun family and has taken on my surname. Secondly, as a concubine, you have the audacity to call yourself his legal mother? His mother will always only be one person. You are not worthy. Thirdly, if heaven's punishment really exists in this world and it condemns me because of someone like you, it only means that the heavens are blind. So what if I destroy the heavens who are blind?" Chapter 425. The young girl's condescending posture was like a high and mighty deity, overlooking all living things in the world. Lin Yu's face turned even paler. She felt a burning pain in her chest and could not move at all. If she moved, her bones would be pulled and she gasped in pain. "Yun Luofeng, you will definitely go to hell." She fiercely gritted her teeth and cursed him word by word. Yun Luofeng sneered. "Unfortunately, you don't even have the right to go to hell. I'll give you one more chance. Where is Yun Zhao's mother?" "Humph." Lin Yu bit her lips tightly and snorted coldly. Since she was going to die anyway, why should she tell this woman so much information? Let them search blindly for the rest of their lives, but in the end, they would never be able to find her. "Looks like you want to taste the body-tearing and bone-crushing pill now." Yun Luofeng lowered his eyes and looked at Lin Yu with a demonic charm. "Since that's the case, I'll satisfy you." As soon as Yun Luofeng finished speaking, a pain as if her body was being crushed spread throughout her entire body. Under this intense pain, she broke out in a cold sweat. Her entire body trembled uncontrollably. It was so painful that she couldn't even scream. I'll talk." She forcefully gritted her teeth and used all the strength in her body to force out these few words. At this moment, she finally understood why Ling Yao was so afraid of Yun Luofeng. It turned out that the feeling of having one's body crushed and bones crushed was not something an ordinary person could endure. After saying this, the intense pain disappeared. However, at this moment, her entire body was already drenched in sweat. Whenever she thought of that intense pain, her heart would involuntarily break out in a cold sweat. His mother was taken away by a mysterious person. This was something I happened to see by accident. Even the father and son of the Xiao family did not know about this. All these years, she had kept this a secret and did not tell anyone, allowing this matter to become a secret in her heart. She never thought that she would be forced to reveal it at this time. "Do you know the identity of that mysterious person?" Yun Luofeng thought for a moment before asking. Lin Yu shook her head weakly. "I'm not sure, I don't even know who that mysterious person is." At this time, Lin Yu could not continue to lie. It seemed that she really did not know who that mysterious person was. But she didn't understand why that mysterious person wanted to take Yun Zhao's mother away. "Let's put this matter behind us. I have another question for you. Is Xiao Yuqing really your biological son? I've never seen a mother send her son to a place like the forest of no return. All those years ago, Yun Xiao had only managed to survive in the forest of no return by luck, but Lin Yu believed that Yun Xiao had surely obtained some sort of fortuitous encounter in the forest of no return for being able to possess the strength he possessed today. Hence, she had used a talisman to teleport Xiao Yuqing into the forest of no return. Chapter 426. However, Yun Luofeng had only asked this casually. After all, how could such a large family like the Xiao family allow someone who was not of the family's blood to stay? However, just as Yun Luofeng finished speaking, Lin Yu's entire body trembled and a trace of fear appeared in her eyes. She laughed maniacally as if to cover up this fear. Ha ha ha, Xiao Yuqing is definitely my biological son. Do you feel fear now? My son has entered the forest of no return and will definitely obtain a powerful opportunity. He will definitely not be any worse than this good-for-nothing. When that time comes, he will come looking for you to avenge me. Ha ha ha. As she laughed maniacally, Lin Yu suddenly punched her own chest. Instantly, blood spurted out and dyed the entire ground red. Yun Luofeng was stunned. She never thought that someone as cowardly as Lin Yu would commit suicide. Could it be that she was afraid that she would find out something from her interrogation? Or perhaps, his casual question just now had struck a chord in her heart. Xiao Yuqing was not her biological son? I will investigate this matter. Yun Xiao clearly understood the doubts in Yun Luofeng's heart. He slowly stepped forward and gently wrapped his arms around the young girl's shoulders. There was a sense of seriousness in his grim eyes. All right. Yun Luofeng nodded gently. Leave this matter to Yun Xiao. He will definitely be able to find out the truth. Yun Xiao, what do you want to do with these people from the Xiao family? Yun Luofeng leaned against the man's shoulder as the corners of his lips curled into a devilish angle. Yun Xiao glanced coldly at the Xiao father and son. His voice was as cold as ever as he said, "Kill them." He paused and added, "Don't forget the promise you once made to me." At this moment, the man's dark eyes were focused on her. His naked gaze seemed to be able to penetrate her clothes and see her entire body. The corner of Yun Luofeng's brow twitched slightly. This man was still thinking about what she had said previously even at a time like this. Yun Xiao. Yun Luofeng raised her head and stared intently at the man's handsome and heroic features. I will definitely fulfill my promise to you. Even if she had only said it casually in the beginning. However, since Yun Xiao had taken it seriously, she would fulfill her promise. Hearing the young girl's affirmative reply, the corners of Yun Xiao's lips curled into a shallow angle. Then, he turned his grim gaze towards the Xiao father and son pair, and the curve of his lips disappeared without a trace. His smile would only bloom towards Yun Luofeng. No one else was qualified. Xiao Chen shuddered and laughed dryly. I'm your father after all. If you kill me, you'll be unfilial. You won't do such a disgraceful thing, right? Besides, your brother has already left the Xiao family. From now on, the Xiao family will only have you. As long as you return, I will definitely treat you well with all my heart. From Xiao Chen's point of view, he was Yun Zhao's biological father after all. There was no way this man would be so cruel as to really make a move on his biological father. After all, if the son killed the father, he would definitely suffer the wrath of the heavens. The man's eyes were cold, and his voice was low. I only have one family member. That person was Yun Luofeng. I was wrong in the past. Now, I know that I was wrong. Xiao Chen's smile was a little stiff. He tried to make his tone sound as gentle as possible. If you return to the Xiao family, I will use the rest of my life to make it up to you. Chapter 427. Make up for it? Yun Luofeng laughed coldly when he heard Xiao Chen's words. Yun Xiao was chased out of his clan at the age of 7 and thrown into the forest of no return. Can you imagine how many close calls and narrow escapes he has gone through all these years? Do you think you can make up for all these years? But Xiao Chen looked at the girl walking towards him and couldn't help but take a few steps back. He gritted his teeth and tried to defend himself. It was my father's idea to expel him from the family, and it was Lin Yu's idea to throw him into the forest of no return. All these have nothing to do with me. I am innocent. When Xiao Chen said this, he did not feel guilty at all. He only knew how to twist words and force logic, pushing all the blame onto others. You! Xiao Lin turned to Xiao Chen angrily, the finger that was pointing at him trembled slightly. You dare say that you didn't despise him for being trash back then? If you hadn't brought Lin Yu and her son back, I wouldn't have expelled him from the clan. Father, this is your fault. I was just following your orders. Besides, I didn't intend to give Lin Yu and her son a proper status in the beginning. It was because you saw Xiao Yuqing's outstanding talent that I brought Lin Yu and her son home. Xiao Chen snorted coldly and retorted. At this moment, Xiao Lin's face turned from green to white, then from white to green. His eyes were filled with anger, but there was even more disappointment and pain. This was the good son he had raised for so many years. In order to survive, he did not hesitate to shirk his responsibility. Father, all spiritual beasts know how to protect their children. If you really treat me as your son, you should commit suicide and apologize in front of Miss Xiao. In this way, there will still be people who will wear mourning clothes for you. Otherwise, you can only be buried in the mass grave. A ruthless glint flashed across Xiao Chen's eyes. Every man for himself. Even if the person in front of him was his family, it was not as important as his own life. As long as it could appease Yun Zhao's anger, no matter how many people were sacrificed, it would be worth it. Ha ha ha. Xiao Lin was so angry that he started laughing. His laughter spread throughout the entire back mountain of the Yun family. This is the good son that I have taught for so many years. You want me to take the blame? Dream on. You also have an indelible responsibility for Miss Xiao being expelled from the Xiao family. What's more, have you forgotten how you treated his mother back then? If Lin Yu hadn't said that someone had taken his mother away, that woman might have been tortured to death by you. Xiao Chen's expression changed drastically. What nonsense are you spouting? I didn't abuse her at all. Don't try to frame me. After saying that, his gaze instantly turned to Yun Xiao and hurriedly explained, Xiao, don't listen to this old thing's nonsense. My feelings for your mother are sincere. The sun and moon can prove it. If this old thing hadn't taken a fancy to Xiao Yuqing and insisted that Lin Yu and her son enter the Xiao family, I wouldn't have been forced to demote your mother to a concubine. This is all his fault. I'm innocent. From the beginning to the end, Yun Xiao did not look at the two people who were tearing at each other, as if even looking at them would be an insult to him. Miss Yun. When Xiao Chen saw that Yun Xiao was ignoring him, he quickly turned to look at Yun Luofeng and begged, I was really dragged down by this old thing. Help me plead for him. As long as Xiao forgives me, I will definitely do my best to make it up to him. Looking at Xiao Chen who had lowered himself, Wei Lianqing shook his head and his lips curled into a sarcastic smile. Chapter 428. That was the character of the Xiao father and son duo. It was really a case of dogs biting each other. Yun Luofeng glanced at Xiao Chen wickedly. A domineering light surged in his pitch-black eyes. What if I lock you up for 10 years and let you suffer endless torture and pain for 10 years? I'll make it up to you after 10 years. What do you think? Xiao Chen's face turned pale. He could not control himself and roared again. But I'm Yun Zhao's father. He'll be punished by the heavens for doing this. Is that so? Yun Luofeng curled the corners of his lips and said with a faint smile. Then wouldn't what you did just now be punished by the heavens even more severely? For better or for worse, you only gave Yun Xiao life, but Xiao Lin raised you up, gave you rich material goods and limitless glory, yet you keep calling him an old thing, and even want him to commit suicide to apologize? I wonder if your actions will be punished by the heavens? Boom. Xiao Chen felt as if thunder had exploded in his head, causing him to stagger a few steps back. He clenched his fists tightly but he could not stop his heart from trembling. Yun Luofeng glanced at him coldly. His gaze seemed to look down on the world, insolent and domineering. I don't believe in any heavenly punishment. I only believe in an eye for an eye. How you treated Yun Xiao back then now. He's just paying you back. No! Xiao Chen screamed sharply. I don't want to die, I don't want to die in this place. As soon as he finished speaking, he suddenly charged towards Lin Yu who had already lost her life. He took out a long sword and stabbed her body fiercely. It's all because of you. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have missed a peerless genius like Xiao. You and Xiao Yuqing deserve to die. If it wasn't for you, I, Xiao Chen, would be the father of the Ghost Emperor. Ha ha ha. He had completely lost his mind. His black hair was messily draped over his shoulders and his face was ferocious. He did not seem to have vented his anger and used the long sword in his hand to dismember the body in front of him. Xiao Bai. Perhaps Lin Jingfeng was afraid that Lin Ruobai would be agitated by the bloody scene in front of him, so he hurriedly tried to cover her eyes. Unexpectedly, Lin Ruobai raised her hand and slapped his hand away. Her bright eyes stared at the bloody scene in front of her and her eyes were filled with excitement. Lin Jingfeng was stunned. He looked at her carefully as if he was seeing his daughter for the first time. This little girl actually had such a bloodthirsty and violent nature buried in her bones. She was actually so excited to see someone's corpse being dismembered. The corners of Lin Jingfeng's mouth twitched when he saw how eager he was. He solemnly exhorted, "Xiaobai, you can't do such bloody things in the future. When dealing with enemies, killing them in one move is enough." "Got it?" Lin Ruobai blinked and nodded obediently. "Got it, Daddy. I'm just curious. I won't do it myself. As long as you understand." Lin Jingfeng patted Lin Ruobai's little head as his gaze softened. He didn't want his daughter to become a pervert who enjoyed ravaging corpses. Ha ha ha. Xiao Chen's maniacal laughter echoed throughout the back mountain. His laughter was ferocious and terrifying, sending chills down people's spines. "Dead. You're finally dead. And Xiao Yuqing, if it wasn't for the two of you, I wouldn't have ended up in this state today. All of you deserve to die." Until now, Xiao Chen still had not thought about how he ended up in this state. He continued to push the blame onto others. Chapter 429. Yun Xiao. Yun Luofeng turned around, his back facing Xiao Chen. His pitch-black eyes were like the stars in the night sky, full of depth. "I'm tired." In other words, she hoped that Yun Xiao could quickly deal with these people so that she could go back and rest. "All right." Yun Xiao nodded slightly. "Give me 1 minute." After the man's cold words fell, the Xiao father and son's eyes revealed a look of terror. Then, 2 rays of light flashed and disappeared into their throats. Xiao Chen probably never thought that Yun Xiao would really make a move against his own father. Could it be that he really wasn't afraid of heaven's wrath? Until the moment he closed his eyes, he was still thinking about this question. From the moment Yun Xiao said those words to the moment the Xiao father and son collapsed, a total of 20 seconds had passed. It was still a long way from the 1 minute he said. After dealing with the 2 people from the Xiao family, the man's cold gaze turned towards the Ling family's group. Ling Feng had wanted to sneak away when no one was paying attention, but before he could get far, he met the man's cold gaze. His back stiffened and he couldn't help but sweat. "Young Master Xiao," Ling Feng laughed dryly, "you and Ling Yao can be considered to have an engagement first, and our Ling family has never harmed you. So, can you let me go? As long as you're willing, I can give Yaoer to you as a concubine." When the girl lying on the ground heard her grandfather's words, a trace of anger appeared on her face. She was originally Yun Zhao's fiancée, but now she could only become a concubine? She would definitely be laughed at if word of this got out. Furthermore, she didn't think that Yun Luofeng's status was higher than hers. "Brother Xiao," Ling Yao looked at Yun Xiao with teary eyes, "I know I was wrong. If you're willing to give me another chance, I'm willing to fulfill the engagement and marry you." At this moment, every word Ling Yao said caused a piercing pain in her body. It was clear that her injuries weren't light. For Yun Xiao, she had completely endured the pain to say these words. However, she seemed to have forgotten that Yun Xiao had just crippled her without any mercy. Why would he feel any pity for her? "Yaoer." Ling Feng's expression changed. It should be known that Ling Yao was already a good-for-nothing now. Being able to marry Yun Xiao was already a blessing in disguise. If not for the fact that the 2 of them were previously engaged, he would not have planned on using Ling Yao in exchange for the peace of the Ling family. However, from the looks of it now, apart from her talent, Ling Yao's granddaughter was completely useless in all other aspects. She didn't even have a shred of brains. "Young Master Yun Xiao, if you don't like Ling Yao, our Ling family has other women. I can give them all to you as concubines." Ling Feng looked at Yun Xiao in a fawning manner. "I only ask that you let our Ling family go." Because Lin Jingfeng had arrived rather late, he hadn't seen what had happened earlier. Naturally, he didn't know that Yun Xiao had mercilessly crippled Ling Yao. Therefore, when he heard Ling Feng's words, a hint of anger appeared in his eyes, but more than that he was worried. In this world, there were very few men who could resist the temptation of beauty. If this man couldn't resist Ling Feng's conditions, what would happen to Xiao Bai's master? Just as Lin Jingfeng was feeling worried, the man's cold voice slowly resounded from the mountain. "The Ling family humiliated her." "What?" Ling Feng was stunned. She didn't understand what the man meant. The man paused for a moment before he continued, "Those who humiliate her, die." Chapter 430. Boom. Before Ling Feng could react, a powerful aura attacked from the front. It was as if an invisible giant hand had pierced through his chest and fiercely crushed his heart. Ling Feng's entire body stiffened. His eyes widened in disbelief as his old body gradually fell towards the ground. He died with everlasting regret. At this moment, Ling Yao was clearly frightened when she saw the scene of her grandfather's tragic death. She opened her mouth wide and her eyes showed terror. Suddenly, she felt the man's gaze fall on her body. This was the first time Yun Xiao had looked at her directly. However, his gaze contained a strong murderous intent. "No. Don't." Ling Yao's hoarse voice carried a sobbing tone. It was only at this moment that she finally experienced the taste of regret. Then she saw the man raise his hand. Boom! A terrifying force hit Ling Yao's body. Her body flew out of the air and landed heavily on the ground. Bright red blood flowed continuously from her mouth and dyed her clothes red. However, this was not the end. Under her terrified gaze, several streams of light flashed quickly and gradually enlarged in front of her eyes. Immediately after, she felt a piercing pain in her chest and her consciousness started to fade. She opened her mouth and wanted to say something, but in the end, she still closed her mouth. However, Ling Yao's final glance towards Yun Luofeng was filled with jealousy and envy. A man who not only had such exquisite looks, but was also so powerful, was so loyal to her. Moreover, he only took one out of the 3,000 weak waters. This kind of loyal and unwavering relationship was something that many people could not even envy. However, it had been obtained by this woman. If she was given another chance, she would not have mocked and ridiculed Yun Xiao when he was in decline. If that was the case, would this man choose her in the end? Ling Yao slowly closed her eyes in despair. Her face gradually lost its color and became a sheet of green and white. Yun Xiao slowly turned around. His expression was as cold and merciless as ever. "I've done what I promised you." When his gaze looked towards Yun Luofeng again, it carried a hint of gentleness. His thin lips gently pursed as he asked seriously, "Then shouldn't you fulfill your promise as well?" Originally, to him, the survival of the Shao family had nothing to do with him. The only reason he came to Spirit Realm was because of her words. "Aren't you going to take a look at your Shao clan's secret territory?" Yun Luofeng raised his eyebrows slightly and asked with a smile. Yun Zhao's expression was focused. "Compared to the secret realm, you are more important to me." In other words, compared to the Shao clan's secret realm, stripping Yun Luofeng was more important. "Okay, then I'll wait in the room, for you to take off my clothes." Yun Luofeng's fingers gently lifted Yun Zhao's chin, and his lips moved to the side of his ear. Standing on his tiptoes, he whispered in his ear in an extremely ambiguous voice. Her voice seemed to have an extremely powerful allure, as it struck Yun Zhao's heart with a loud bang, causing the most primitive desire to appear in his body. "This." Wei Lianqing rubbed his head when he saw the interaction between the two of them. He asked curiously, "Young people nowadays are so open-minded? It's completely different from our time." The corner of Lin Jingfeng's mouth twitched. He never expected Xiao Bai's master to be so flirtatious. Not many men could resist her temptation. Chapter 431. The night was as clear as water. The pale moonlight poured into the room and fell on the girl's beautiful face. The young girl sensed the movement outside the door and opened her eyes slightly. Her face revealed a charming smile. Her eyes were like the night sky full of stars. They were bright and full of temptation, making people involuntarily fall into them and unable to extricate themselves. Yun Xiao. Yun Luofeng's eyes were full of smiles as he looked at the cold man who entered the room. "What are you going to do about Xiao Yuqing?" Yun Xiao was silent for a while. "Lin Qiong is back." Xiao Yuqing was indeed transported to the forest of no return. "That place is too dangerous, so I summoned Lin Qiong back." The outside world said that the Ghost Emperor was cold and ruthless. He was also cruel to his subordinates. However, he would never let his subordinates make unnecessary sacrifices. If Lin Qiong were to go to the forest of no return to find Xiao Yuqing, it would undoubtedly make him think twice. What was the point of doing such a thing? "Yun Xiao, do you think Xiao Yuqing is really Lin Yu's son?" Yun Luofeng narrowed his eyes. The more she thought about it, the more suspicious she became. Why would Lin Yu choose to commit suicide if she did not have a guilty conscience? But she seemed to have thought of something and continued, I heard that only the Xiao family's bloodline can enter the Xiao family's secret realm. If Xiao Yuqing is not of the Xiao family's bloodline, why would Lin Yu let him enter the secret realm without worry? Yun Xiao looked at Yun Luofeng, wanting to say something but hesitating. After a long while, he made up his mind and said, there is a secret technique that can completely exchange blood in a person's body. This is to deceive the world. If Lin Yu killed her own child and exchanged her child's blood with Xiao Yuqing's, even the Xiao family's secret realm would not be able to tell the difference. Xiao Yuqing was the heir of the Xiao family. If his identity was fake, wouldn't it be equivalent to giving away the Xiao family? Therefore, before Lin Yu entered the Xiao family, Xiao Lin would definitely use a blood test to prove his identity. If he wanted to deceive the world, he could only use the secret realm to exchange their blood. Only then could he ensure that Xiao Yuqing would become the legitimate son of the Xiao family. Yun Luofeng's hand holding the teacup trembled. You mean, Lin Yu would kill her own child? You exchanged that child's blood with Xiao Yuqing's? No matter how cruel and merciless Lin Yu was, could she really kill her own son? Just now, I sent someone to investigate. Yun Xiao stared deeply at Yun Luofeng. Back then, the people who helped Lin Yu deliver the baby all died in an accident. Not long after that, someone dug up a female infant whose blood had been drained from a nearby field. This female infant's corpse was hastily buried because no one claimed it. In other words, Lin Yu had killed her own daughter and swapped their blood. Finally, in order to destroy the evidence, she had drained all the blood from the baby girl to prove that Xiao Yuqing was a child of the Xiao family. Yun Luofeng sneered, we let Lin Yu die too easily. Even a vicious tiger will not eat its cubs. In order to stand out, she even killed her own child. This kind of sin was enough to send them to hell for eternity. Yun Zhao's expression was cold. He had never been overly sentimental towards unimportant people. Hence, even though Lin Yu had done such a thing, his face remained expressionless. Before I was 7, Lin Yu had always lived outside. She had enough space to do this without anyone finding out. Chapter 432. If this had happened in the Xiao family home, perhaps Lin Yu's actions would have been discovered. However, during those few years, she had been kept in an outer room. No matter what she had done, no one would have been able to find out. Lin Yu had thought that her plan was flawless, but she did not know that she had already been betrayed by many things. Yun Xiao, let's not bother with these people. Yun Luofeng slowly rose to her feet and a demonic smile hung from the corners of her lips. She took large strides towards Yun Zhao's side and her breath was filled with ambiguity. Xiao Yuqing won't be able to stir up any waves. Now, let's fulfill our previous promise, all right? Her smile was like a flower and the breath from her thin lips carried an alluring scent. Yun Zhao's eyes could not help but fall upon her body. His gaze seemed to be able to pierce through the thin veil on the young girl's body and see her faintly discernible snow-white skin. All right. Yun Xiao was very honest. His objective in coming to the Xiao family home was to take off the young girl's clothes. Now that they had reached such a crucial moment, how could he shrink back at the last minute? Come. Yun Luofeng curled her lips and stepped forward. Her beautiful smile was like a purple rose, demonic and bewitching. It was so dangerous that one could not help but want to get close to her. Or are you saying that you want me to help you take it off first? As she spoke, the young girl's hand was already on the man's lapel. Her slender fingers slipped through the open lapel and gently caressed the man's sturdy chest. Whoosh! Suddenly, she lifted her hand and the man's shirt was lifted off. Instantly, the strong chest and the 8-pack of abs were imprinted in the young girl's eyes. Not only did this man look heroic and handsome, his figure was perfect as well. Anyone who saw such beautiful abs would be unable to control their most primal urges. Just as Yun Luofeng's hand was slowly caressing the man's chest, the man raised his hand and grabbed her tightly, pressing her body tightly against the wall. Yun Luofeng gently narrowed his eyes and the smile on his peerlessly beautiful face grew even more pronounced. Yun Xiao, at the very beginning, you were just a piece of white paper. My greatest interest was to stain that piece of white paper to prove that you were mine and that I was the only person in this world who could train you. Yun Xiao pursed his thin lips. His black gaze gradually shifted downwards from Yun Luofeng's collarbone. His hand gently removed the thin veil covering the young girl's body. The girl's body was in full view of the man, but she raised her hand